The story begins as a boy named Rintaro confesses to his crush. The girl says that she likes him, but she gets sick at the thought of dating him. Rintaro is crushed by the rejection, and his friend accompanies him as they walk home. We learn that this was Rintaro's 100th rejection, and his friend makes fun of him for this. His friend wonders how he has asked out 100 girls, since they have only just graduated from middle school, and Rintaro remembers the first girl he ever asked out when he was only 8 months old. Rintaro really wants to experience what it's like to have a girlfriend, and his friend wonders how he keeps getting rejected since he seems to have everything, from good looks to good grades. This makes him more frustrated, but his friend bids him farewell, wishing him luck in high school. Rintaro visits a shrine and prays to the god of love to get a girlfriend in high school, when suddenly, he hears a voice and a face pops out of the donation box, but the man tells him that he's the shrine's god. As he emerges, we see he has wings, and he tells Rintaro that he's destined to meet his soulmate in high school. In fact, he's actually going to have 100 soulmates, so he'll have plenty to choose from. Rintaro is happy about this, but he swears to destroy the shrine if it turns out to be a lie. 1 month later, it's the first day of high school. Rintaro is on his way to the classroom when he bumps into 2 girls, Inda and Akari. They feel a shocking feeling as their eyes meet, and Rintaro wonders if they are the soulmates that God told him about. He goes to help the 2 girls up, but Akari suddenly pretends to have twisted her ankle, asking him to help her to the nurse's office. Rintaro cries over hurting his soulmate, and Akari starts to like him even more, thinking he is a kind soul. As he helps her up, Inda gets jealous, and she pretends that she's twisted her ankle as well. Rintaro starts hitting himself for hurting the 2 girls, and the girls stand up as they get worried for him. Rintaro is surprised to see they can stand, but they quickly go back to pretending. Rintaro takes them to the nurse's office, but he feels as though he's the one who's being carried. The girls pretend to lose balance, and they start fighting over him, but they end up both clinging onto him. As they continue to the nurse's office, Rintaro introduces himself to the girls, and he finds out that they are all in the same class. There are 2 other girls that walk past, and they mention a field of pink leaf clovers in the courtyard, saying if you ask anyone out with a pink 4-leaf clover, it's guaranteed they will say yes. Inda and Akari suddenly run off, and Rintaro is surprised their legs are fine. 3 hours after the end of school, we see Rintaro stay back to help a teacher find his contact lens. As he prepares to go home, he wonders if he will see the girls again, and he suddenly sees them in the courtyard. We see Inda looking for the 4-leaf clover, and Rintaro checks to see how it's going. Inda is shocked to see him, and she tries to pretend she wasn't looking for the clover. Rintaro notices that Akari isn't there, and he offers Inda a drink. She is too shy to accept it, so Rintaro thinks she must find him weird since they only just met, but she suddenly snatches it from him, saying she'll drink it all so it doesn't go to waste. He tells her she should go home since it's getting late. She tells him not to tell her what to do, but she thanks him for the drink, and Rintaro realizes she's a tsundere. Inda suddenly runs away, and Akari returns. Rintaro offers her a drink, but Akari intends to have an indirect kiss with him, so she asks to share half with him, saying she can't finish it by herself. Rintaro thought this would happen, so he already brought a smaller drink for her, but she insists that she still can't finish it. He agrees and takes a sip, as he gives it to Akari, but Akari panics, and it all spills on the ground. Rintaro thinks she's upset because she must really like the drink. He offers her his handkerchief to help her clean up, but Akari instead holds his hand and confesses her love to him, saying she has to do it fast because there's someone else who likes him. Rintaro is delighted receiving his first ever confession, but before he can respond, Inda suddenly returns. She had bought a bunch of drinks to repay him, but she suddenly gets mad at Akari for asking him out, telling her to get in line. Rintaro is surprised to hear that she likes him. She tries to deny it at first, but she ends up confessing to him as well. They ask him who he's going to choose, but he tells them to wait till the next day for his answer. He thinks about both of the girls, but he is just not able to choose. He visits the shrine, and God tells him that they are both his soul mates, so it's impossible for him to choose. He wonders what other people do if they meet 2 soul mates, but God tells him that people usually don't have more than one. The God reveals that when Rintaro was born, He made a mistake because he was busy watching TV, and he accidentally assigned Rintaro 100 soulmates instead of 1. Rintaro thinks he's doomed, but God warns him it'll only get worse, because if a person can't be with their soulmate, they'll die because they can't have the one they love. He thinks about one of the girls dying, so this just makes his decision even harder. However, he suddenly gets an idea, thinking he could reject them both, and then date both of them behind the other's back. The next morning, the girls meet Rintaro and are surprised to see him tattered, but he finally answers that he wants to date both of them. Inda is shocked to hear this, and it turns out he couldn't bring himself to lie to them, so he confesses that he loves them both and will do everything to make them the happiest girls ever. The girls are about to reject him, but he suddenly presents them both with pink 4-leaf clovers, which we learn he spent all night looking for. Inda mocks him for believing in the superstition, but Hikari reminds her how they both believed in it. Inda refuses to accept two-timing with him, but he tells them that he got the flowers because he saw how hard they were looking for them, so he just wanted to make them happy. The girls can't handle the gesture, and Hikari agrees to be with him, thinking two-timing with him would still make her happier than getting rejected. Inda refuses to let Hikari have him to herself, so she also agrees to be with him. Hikari teases her for changing her mind, and Rintaro swears to cherish them both, but he wonders about his other 98 soulmates. The next day, Rintaro expresses how happy he is to finally have a girlfriend, but he's actually just talking to a pole. The two girls arrive, but Inda gets creeped out at why he was talking to a pole. Rintaro says he was just too happy, so he couldn't contain himself, and Inda tells him he can talk to her instead, but she ends up becoming too embarrassed. Hikari takes this chance, and she holds Rintaro's hand. He is overwhelmed by the sensation, and Inda starts to get jealous, but he grabs her hand as well. She acts like she doesn't enjoy it, but the three of them happily walk together. When they get to school, they see a boy running as he gets chased by the vice principal. Hikari points out that she's known for being strict, and if she sees anyone running in the school, she will chase them down, and if they're caught, she'll give them a kiss. Rintaro thinks this would cause emotional damage, and Hikari notes that the vice principal is a former star sprinter, so it's impossible to get away from her. Hikari goes on to ask Rintaro if he's ever kissed anyone, but he says that he hasn't since they are his first ever girlfriends. Hearing this, Hikari and Inda realize that whoever acts first will be able to get his first kiss. The three spend their lunch break together, and while Inda is distracted by a cat, Hikari feeds an egg roll to Rintaro. He likes it so much that he starts crying, and Inda gets jealous. She reveals that she made cookies for him, but when she tries to feed him, she ends up hitting him in the eye. He eats her cookie, telling her it was amazing, but Hikari takes out a Baki snack. As she opens it, she finds that the ends have been broken. She wonders how she can feed him without getting her hands dirty, so she ends up feeding him with her mouth. Seeing her so close, Rintaro thinks she is too cute. Hikari starts biting the snack to get closer to him. Inda tries to join, but she ends up poking his other eye. As Inda's hair gets in the way, it causes Rintaro to sneeze, and he breaks his Baki with Hikari. Inda notices that his eyes are all red, so she worries that he has a cold, but she suddenly grabs onto him, telling him he can get better by passing it on. She tries to kiss him, but Hikari gets in the way, saying they can't be sure that he has a cold. So she tries to check his temperature through their lips, saying it's her family's tradition. However, Inda stops them and tries to make Rintaro pass out so she can give him mouth to mouth. Hikari pushes her away, and they both are angry at each other. Rintaro finally realizes they were trying to kiss him. Inda disagrees with this, but her expression makes their motives obvious. He's stunned to know they want to kiss him, so he offers to kiss them because he's been wanting to do it as well. But Hikari explains that he will have to choose who he will kiss first, causing them to fight with each other once again. However, Rintaro stops them, saying he has a solution that he had planned the day before because he was too excited. He thought a lot about how to make them happy, so for the first kiss, they will keep who was kissed first a mystery, so they will both have the same chance of being his first kiss, and he'll consider each of their kisses as his first. The girls are concerned about how they can keep it a mystery, but Rintaro explains his plan, which involves wearing a mask and covering their ears. Using a dice, the girls will randomly determine their standing position, and he will kiss them without knowing who is who. He will then return to his original position, and the girls will once again randomize their positions, so in the end he will have no idea who he kissed first. Hikari thinks it's a great idea, but Inda worries there's a chance he could cheat, so Rintaro reveals his solution, which is to pinky promise that they won't cheat. Inda thinks it's dumb, but Rintaro promises to stick a needle in his eye if he breaks the promise. The girls agree to the plan, and as they go about carrying it out, there is a gust of wind that lifts up Inda's skirt, and the cat suddenly starts clawing at it. Inda thinks it's Rintaro who's touching her, and she ends up kicking him away. She starts beating him up, but her headphones come out, and she realizes it was the cat. They decide to try again, but with every try, something always goes wrong, and they are unable to kiss. Everyone's upset, and Inda points out the plan was faulty. This angers Hikari, and they both start blaming each other and fighting over who Rintaro belongs to. He stops them and takes all the blame upon himself for not being experienced as he runs off. He calls out for the vice principal, and she suddenly shows up to punish him for running. She gets on top of him, and he's scared to death, but Inda suddenly stops her. Hikari pretends to see a school inspector, and the vice principal gets worried hearing this, so she quickly crawls away. The girls wonder why Rintaro acted so rashly, but he says it's because he loves them both and wants them to get along, so he'd rather ruin his first kiss than cause them to fight. But hearing this, both girls tell him he can kiss the other, not wanting him to waste his first kiss. Rintaro is surprised by this, but the girls can tell that they both really love him. Rintaro hugs them both, and he seems to come up with another plan. He suggests they could do a three-way kiss. He thought they wouldn't go for this at the start, but seeing them get along, he thinks it can work. The girls get embarrassed at the thought of kissing each other, but they end up agreeing, and the three finally get their first kiss. The following day, the girls and Rintaro are at the library. Hikari looks for a cookbook so she can make more food for him, but Inda fights with her over a book about winning a man through his stomach. Rintaro tells them to get along, reminding them how they both shared a kiss, and the girls become embarrassed. Rintaro looks around for another book, but he meets another girl who instantly gives him a shocking sensation, so he wonders if she's another one of his soulmates. The girl backs away, and Rintaro sees that she's the librarian. The girl doesn't speak, but points to phrases in her book to communicate with him. Rintaro finds this confusing at first, so he thinks they aren't meant to speak in the library. She asks him what he's looking for, and he tries to mime out that he's looking for a story that's funny. The girl asks him why he's not talking, and he asks her the same thing. She apologizes and prepares to get someone else to help him, but he stops her, asking for her assistance. He asks for her recommendations for a romance story with a good ending, so she starts picking out some books for him. But Rintaro is shocked when she ends up picking out a mountain of books. The girl apologizes, telling him to just pick the ones he wants, but he tells her he'll take them all since she picked them out for him. But as he goes to check them out, it turns out his library card isn't ready yet, so he can't borrow any of the books. But the girl offers him her own personal book. Rintaro happily accepts it, and he wonders about her name. The girl shows him her ID, and we learn her name is Shizuka. At night, Rintaro reads the book, and it's a story about a princess and her knight. The knight swears his loyalty to her, even protecting her from a dragon. The two develop feelings for one another, but the princess is arranged to be married to another prince. The knight rushes out to her, wishing there was a way for them to defy their fates. Rintaro roots for them, but the story ends on a cliffhanger. The next day, Rintaro thanks Shizuka for the book, and he realizes that she brought him the second book. He excitedly accepts it, but thinks he needs to find a way to repay her. He buys a drink for her, and they start talking about the book outside. Shizuka tells him that it's her favorite book, and Rintaro is impressed by how well she knows it, since she can find any phrase to use it to communicate, but she is just glad that he doesn't find her weird, revealing that she has never had a real friend. Hearing this, Rintaro gets an idea, and he asks to borrow her first book again. The next day, we see Shizuka has brought the third book for Rintaro, but he doesn't show up even after a few days. As she walks around the school, she notices Rintaro with Hikari and Inda. They know how sleepy he looks, and he says he's been busy at night. The girls think about what he could be up to, but Rintaro continues to yawn. Hikari suddenly kisses him, telling him she's giving him her energy. Rintaro hugs her, calling her his angel, but Inda says she also has plenty of energy to give him. She goes in to kiss him, but she ends up headbutting him instead. Shizuka realizes he has a girlfriend and thinks he must be too busy to read. She thinks about how the other girls found her weird for the way she talks, and even her mother thinks she's a freak, begging her to speak normally. She thinks nobody has time to talk to someone like her, but we see Rentaro come to find her, saying he can finally repay her for lending him her books. He gets her to install an app on her phone, and reveals he made a copy of the first book. He shows her how to select the words and play it out as a voice. Shizuka knows the ebook was never released, so Rentaro manually typed out the whole book. Rentaro explains that when she talks with the book, they never spoke face to face since she always had to look at the book, but he says that by using the app, they'll be able to look at each other while she talks. He hopes that it will help her with communicating, and he tells her to try it out. She tells him that she loves him, but she instantly takes it back, telling him not to worry. However, Rentaro tells her that he loves her too. Shizuka thinks they are destined not to be together, but Rentaro claims they will overcome it, even if it's their fate. He introduces Shizuka to the other girls, asking to add her as his newest girlfriend. Inda thinks he's insane, but Hikari thanks him for staying with them, even after finding someone else. Rentaro claims his feelings towards them haven't changed, making an analogy that they are like an oil field, and Shizuka is just a completely new field, so adding her won't affect them in any way. In fact, he plans on cherishing them even more than before. He promises to prove it with his actions, saying that if he ever fails them, he will atone for it by committing seppuku, even ordering a special knife from Amazon. Inda ends up accepting it, and Rentaro's girlfriends grow by one, but there are still 97 soulmates to go. Rentaro tells Hikari and Inda more about Shizuka, telling them that she has a cute mannerism while reading books, where she moves her toes like a puppy's tail, and it expresses how she feels. He reveals that Hikari also has a cute habit, where she bites on her fingers while thinking, and he admits that this turns him on. He adds that when Inda is trying to brush off a compliment, she twirls her hair with her fingers, and he finds this adorable. They are surprised that he was able to notice their behavior, thinking he must really care about them. He goes on to describe how Inda and Hikari behave while they're kissing, but this causes Shizuka to lose her composure as she realizes that he has already kissed them. Hikari wonders if she is also interested in kissing, but she tells them that she's saving her first kiss for her marriage. Rentaro says that it's okay, saying he won't kiss her until she's ready, as Inda and Hikari watch her, waiting for her to kiss him, but nothing happens. They feed Rentaro lunch, but Inda becomes angry because Hikari won't let her feed him. They proceed to stuff his mouth, as Shizuka enjoys her meal, observing them as they fight over him, but he realizes that she is too quiet, thinking she needs to get used to them. He thinks about how people put up a front before getting to know someone, because they're afraid of how others will react if they display their emotions. So he thinks it'll be easier to open up to someone who already knows how you feel, because once your true feelings have been revealed, you no longer have to be afraid of how other people will react. Rentaro asks the girls if they want to play a card game, saying the loser will be tickled by the winner. He believes that laughter is the best way to force someone to display their emotions, thinking they will all be friends after they tickle each other. The girls think about Rentaro touching them, so they are determined to lose against him. Rentaro is the winner of the first round, while Inda is the loser, but she appears to be happy about this. He proceeds to tickle her as she tries to resist it, and she lies on the ground, but he stops as he realizes she's enjoying it a little too much. For the second round, Rentaro wins again, and the loser is Hikari. She celebrates, knowing he is about to touch her, and he starts tickling her, causing her to laugh as she enjoys every moment of it. But she starts acting weird, and she begs him to stop, saying she is very ticklish, but we learn the real reason was she was about to wet herself. Rentaro wins the third round, and Shizuka is the loser, so he looks forward to tickling her, wanting to hear how she laughs. But as he proceeds to tickle her, she remains silent, and she gets her device to say that she is laughing. He thinks that she looks adorable, so he continues to tickle her, as Inda and Hikari watch them, realizing that he hasn't lost yet. They want to tickle him back, so they become determined to win the game. But Shizuka wins the fourth round, and Rentaro is the loser, so she approaches him, but instead of tickling him, she pokes him. He starts laughing, as Hikari wonders why she isn't taking this chance to feel him all over. Hikari thinks that he is attracted to Shizuka's timid behavior, and she thinks about how she flaunts her best features to grab his attention, seeing herself as a poser. Shizuka's natural charm is the complete opposite, so she thinks that Shizuka is an even greater threat than Inda. After the game, Rintaro goes to the bathroom, while Inda confronts Shizuka, knowing she is keeping her distance from Rintaro. She tells them that she is just a newcomer, so she wants to stay out of their way. But Inda reminds her that she is Rintaro's girlfriend, so there's no need to hold back, saying her behavior is annoying. She immediately apologizes, but this makes Inda upset, asking her why she won't fight back. She decides to be honest with them, telling them she is afraid, as she explains that Hikari has incredible charm, while Inda has the confidence to match her beauty. But Shizuka thinks that there is nothing special about her, and she is afraid that Rintaro will compare her to them. They start to take a liking to her, thinking she is adorable, but she thinks that she is nothing compared to them. Hikari assures her that Rintaro can see the beauty in her, recognizing her as a fellow girlfriend. Rintaro observes them, thinking his plan went better than expected. We learn that when Shizuka was poking him, he realized that Inda was glaring at her. He thought that Inda wanted to fight her, but he believed that he should give them the chance to display their emotions. He is proud of how the girls handled the situation, and he returns to them as Inda tells him that Shizuka should tickle him again because she was holding back, and Hikari encourages her to go for it. She realizes that they are trying to help her, thinking she should make their kindness count, so she approaches him, telling him that she wants to kiss him. They finally kiss, and Shizuka becomes flustered, but Hikari also asks for a kiss, as she wonders if she is good enough for him, thinking she is nothing compared to Shizuka, but he tells her that he loves all of his girlfriends. He kisses her, making her happy, and he asks Inda if she also wants a kiss. She pretends that she doesn't, but she slides into position, and he tells her that she's cute when she's flustered. She pummels him, but he endures it, and she admits that she wants to kiss him, so he gives her one as well. He realizes that he has amazing girlfriends, thinking he doesn't deserve them, but they tell him that they feel the same way about him. The next day, Rintaro enters the classroom, where he meets a girl named Nano. He tells her that the exam results have been posted, asking her if she's going to check it out, but she tells him that it's a waste of time, knowing she has secured the #1 spot. As their eyes meet, they feel a shocking sensation, so he thinks that she must be one of his soulmates. He checks the results with his girlfriends, and we learn that they all did well. As he looks at the #1 spot, he is surprised to see that Nano got a perfect score. He asks the girls about her, so they tell him that she's a total nerd, saying she can answer any question they give her, and there are rumors that she isn't even human. During their biology class, Rintaro is paired up with Nano, as he notes that she is nothing like his girlfriends, because her elegance is on another level. He realizes that she is copying the answer from her textbook, because she thinks that practical exams are a waste of time, saying the scientists already know the answer. He tells her that the professor is watching, so she uses the microscope, but instead of checking out the specimen, she looks at her textbook, saying it's more efficient. He realizes that she behaves like a robot, and as he tries to slice the specimen, he cuts his finger, so he proceeds to rinse it, thinking about going to the nurse's office. But Nano tells him that there's no need, and she puts it in her mouth, causing him to panic. She explains that he doesn't need a disinfectant, because saliva is a natural source of it. Rintaro wonders if he's dreaming, and it also causes Inda to become upset. After class, Rintaro thanks Nano for helping him, but she tells him that she just wanted him to stay, because she needed someone to help her clean up. He wants to get to know her better, inviting her to go out with him, but she thinks that it's a waste of time, because it produces nothing of value, saying it won't improve her future prospects. He thinks that having fun is the meaning of life, but she tells him that he's delusional, saying he is wasting her time, so he starts to wonder if she really is his soulmate. That evening, we see Nano in her room, but she thinks about Rintaro, wondering why she helped him. She realizes that she has feelings for him, thinking it's distracting her, so she starts writing the exact value of pi, thinking it's the most efficient way to restore her focus. But she notes that it isn't working, even though she has filled up the board and written on many pieces of paper. She realizes that she is wasting time, thinking this is a problem. So the next day, Nano tells Rintaro that she is in love with him, saying she wants him to be her boyfriend. He tells her that he wants to go out with her, but she turns him down, so he thinks that he has been pranked. She reveals that she wants to put an end to her feelings because relationships only lead to marriage and pregnancy, thinking romance between teenagers is meaningless. She tells him that she'll never go out with him, but he reveals that he is in love with her, saying he refuses to give up, and he asks her out, imploring her to give him a chance to win her over. A few days later, they visit an amusement park, and Rentaro is determined to convince Nano that love is meaningful. But she thinks that the activity is pointless, wondering why they're even doing it. She notes that he's holding onto an instant camera, knowing that it doesn't retain any data, so she thinks that it's a flawed device. He tells her to say cheese, but she asks him what he means, and he takes the picture anyways. They enter a haunted house, and Nano says that she doesn't believe in ghosts. As the ghosts try to scare them, she maintains her composure, saying they're only humans, so she wonders why Rentaro is afraid. She says that the haunted house is full of humans, so they should call it a human house instead. As they ride the giant teacups, she thinks that whoever created the ride is insane, wondering why people line up to get spun around, and she thinks that it must have been created to brainwash people. They enter a giant maze, where they encounter dead ends, as Nano wonders why the designers didn't just build the right path, thinking it only makes the customers' lives more difficult. At the Ferris wheel, Nano reveals that she is afraid of heights, so Rentaro sits next to her, and they hold each other's hands. They look at all the pictures they took, and Nano admits she had fun, but she still thinks that it's a meaningless day. So Rentaro decides to burn the photos, saying they should erase it from their memories, but as he is about to burn it, Nano recalls that the camera doesn't store data, so they will lose all records of the event. She takes the photos, and Rentaro tells her she was afraid of losing them, because she gained something of value. She starts crying, as he tells her that enjoying good times makes their lives meaningful. She uses his handkerchief to wipe her tears, telling him that she will disinfect it before she returns it, and he wonders if she will use her saliva again, but she tells him that she will wash it. She says that she wants him to be her boyfriend, because she wants to spend more meaningful times with him, and Rentaro tells her that he loves her. So she kisses him, telling him that she'll fulfill her desires by any means necessary. Rentaro introduces her to the girls, and they don't make any objections, so he thanks them for accepting her, once again promising to commit seppuku if he doesn't treat them well, but Nano tells him that poison would be more effective. They think about going out together, and Hikari is jealous Rentaro went to a theme park without her, so she suggests they go to a water park, wanting to have a beach episode. We see Inda looking for a swimsuit to wear, but she has trouble picking one out. There's one that grabs her attention, thinking it looks cute, but she thinks that it won't look good on her. However, she thinks that Rentaro might like it, so she decides to buy it. They arrive at the pool, where Rentaro sees the girls wearing swimsuits, and he is overjoyed at the sight, thinking he can die happy. But Inda arrives with a strange dress, so he panics, because it looks like she doesn't have a swimsuit. She tells them that she's feeling cold, so she'll hang around the pool while they have fun. Nano points her to an area where she can enjoy the sun, so she thanks Nano, saying she doesn't have to worry about her. But Nano says that she doesn't care about her, so she becomes upset, telling Nano to go away. They enter the whirlpool, where Shizuka keeps spinning on her floater, saying she can't control where she's going. Nano believes that the venue is for survival training, and she tries to swim against the current, but Rentaro stops her, as Hikari clings to him, telling him that she is being swept away. She gets up close to him, and Nano tries to do the same, but it causes him to pass out. Nano notes that he's not breathing, so Hikari gives him mouth to mouth, enjoying every moment of it. But Nano tells her to go away, trying to save Rentaro, but Hikari tells her that it's not working, saying Rentaro is going to die. Meanwhile, we see Shizuka getting swept away, and she tries to get out of the pool, but she can't control where she's going. She realizes she's in trouble, so she tries asking for help, but everyone ignores her. Her floater breaks, so she hurries out of the water, but she becomes stranded on an island in the middle of the whirlpool. We return to Rentaro, as Nano suggests finding a lifeguard. They run around the pool, but a group of men call out to them. Hikari ignores them, but one of them notices that she has a great body. He reaches out to her, but Nano stops him and pokes his eyes, saying it's the most efficient way to dispose of a pervert. His friends become upset, so they try to intimidate Nano, and she tells them that she will hang out with them so that Hikari can look for a lifeguard to save Rintaro. She knows that he will be sad if something happens to Hikari, so she decided to help her escape. But Hikari tells them that Nano isn't going with them, telling her that Rintaro also cares about her. One of the men reaches out to Hikari, but Rintaro gets in the way, saying Nano and Hikari are his girlfriends. The man tells him not to interfere because Nano blinded his friend, telling him to leave with his girlfriend, but he tells the man that Nano and Hikari are both his girlfriends. The man doesn't believe him, so he tells him to kiss both of them, thinking Rintaro won't be able to do it because he's lying. But Nano kisses him, and Hikari does the same, telling the men that Rintaro is saying the truth. The men freak out, realizing he's a gigachad, and they decide not to mess with him. Hikari wonders how Rintaro was able to recover. We learn that Enda saw the incident, so she was about to make her way to Hikari and Nano, but she saw Rintaro along the way, thinking he's already dead. She tells him not to die, because Nano and Hikari are in trouble, so he suddenly regains consciousness, and he rushes to help them. Rintaro explains that he was able to make it because of Enda, and he thanks Nano for protecting Hikari. Nano thinks that Hikari is more important than her, but he tells her not to put herself in danger, and she realizes that he also cares about her. He realizes that Shizuka is still in the pool, so he panics, knowing she can't swim. He rushes to her, and we see her asking for help, but everyone ignores her. She realizes that her phone is running out of battery, but at that moment, she hears Rintaro calling out to her. She tries to grab his attention, but he can't find her, so she thinks about screaming with her own voice. She doesn't want to do it because she doesn't want people to hear her voice, but she doesn't have any other choice. She screams with a high-pitched voice, and Rintaro immediately finds her, saying he's glad that she's okay. He carries her away, and she kisses him, causing him to become embarrassed as he reminds her that they're still in public. They join the others, and Rintaro tells them that he's going to take a break, telling Enda to join him. During his break, he asks Enda why she keeps looking at Hikari and Nano, thinking she is comparing herself to them. He thinks that she doesn't feel confident wearing her swimsuit, so he assures her that she and Shizuka are both normal. But she says that Shizuka is different because she's tiny and cute, but he suddenly removes her dress, revealing her swimsuit. She calls him a pervert, but he thinks that she looks amazing. He hugs her, and she realizes that his heart is beating fast as he tells her that she's unique, saying she can't be more attractive than she already is, and she is moved by his words. Enda decides to join them in the pool, and they enjoy the rest of the day together. They return to the school, and as they pass by the chemistry lab, Rintaro sees a girl. He feels the shocking sensation as their eyes meet, so he knows that she is one of his soulmates. The next day, Rintaro returns to the lab, wondering if he will find his soulmate there, but as he enters the room, he sees a strange girl who introduces herself as Kasuri from the chemistry club. She gives him tea, but he's surprised to see that it's in a beaker. She tells him that she just finished developing a drug, but he explains that he doesn't want to join the chemistry club, saying he's just looking for someone. But she just tells him to drink the tea and wait, so he decides to try it, and she presents the drug she made, which is a human magnet medicine. She explains that if he takes it, his body will attract metals, and she forces him to drink it. His body starts acting like a magnet, and he is impressed that this is even possible, but she warns him about the drug's side effect, saying he will be constipated for 3 days. She decides to test her theory, revealing that she has a drug with an opposite pole, and she drinks it, causing her body to become attracted to him. She tells him that opposites attract, but she realizes that the magnetism is too strong, so she can't get away. But she maintains her composure, knowing the effect only lasts for 10 minutes. She tells him that she needs to pee, so he starts to panic, but she says that it's okay, revealing that she has diapers on. She pees in her diapers, and the effect finally wears off. She reveals that she wants to create new drugs, revealing that she has already made plenty of them. He realizes that he's starting to have feelings for her, and she already knows about this, because she made him drink a love potion when he arrived. She reveals that she fell in love with him at first sight, but he throws up, saying he wants to get rid of the love potion. She wonders why the love potion didn't work, thinking he must really dislike her. So she starts crying, asking him if she's not his type, but he tells her that he doesn't want to be drugged up when he accepts her feelings. He starts acting weird, and she knows that his body is trying to reject the drug, so she tells him to drink a neutralizer, but he is convulsing, so she decides to give it using her mouth. His body recovers, but she despairs, knowing the effect of the love potion is gone. He tells her that he still likes her, causing her to become flustered, and she begs him to go out with her, saying she will do whatever he wants. Her hair suddenly starts growing, and her body transforms, revealing that she is the soulmate he saw in the lab. She explains that she also drank the neutralizer while she was giving it by mouth, revealing that she transformed into a kid because she worked on a failed immortality drug, but she says that she can only maintain her current form for an hour. She reveals that she is the president of the chemistry club and that her current form has poor vision and long hair, so she prefers to do her research as a kid. He can't believe that she is one of his soulmates, and he agrees to go out with her. Rintaro introduces Kusuri to his other girlfriends, and he doesn't receive any negative reactions. But she tells them that she loves drugs, so Inda wonders if she's okay. He explains that she is older than them, and that she is small because of a drug, so Inda thinks that Kusuri is a drug addict. She reveals that she has a medicine to help grow Inda's boobs, but she becomes upset, so Kusuri offers to give her other medicines to improve herself. But she becomes even more upset, asking Kusuri why she's doing this, so she reveals that Rintaro told her about her insecurity. Inda tortures him, but Kusuri tells her how much he loves her, so she immediately apologizes. Kusuri gives Hikari a hotness medicine, saying it will make her more attractive. She thinks that it will enhance her assets, so she decides to drink it, but she realizes that she is sweating profusely, and her clothes melt away, as Kusuri explains that nothing is hotter than her birthday suit. Rintaro gives her clothes, and she smells it, knowing he wore it. She is worried that it could also melt away, but Kusuri assures her that the drug only works once, so Rintaro's clothes are safe. Kusuri gives Shizuka a fantasy medicine, causing her to grow rabbit ears. Rintaro finds it cute, and he starts touching it, which makes her happy. Kusuri gives Nano a hair control drug, giving her the ability to use her hair like extra arms. Nano uses it to grab Rintaro, and she kisses him, saying she likes the drug because it increases her efficiency. Kusuri explains that the drug lasts for 10 minutes, saying she can take more drugs if she wants the effect to last, but it will increase her risk of going bald. She thinks that this is a small price to pay, asking Rintaro if he will love her even if she is bald, and he tells her that he will love her even if she becomes an alien. But he reveals that he likes her hair, so she decides not to use the drug. Kusuri tells them about her dream to join a research team so that she can make even more amazing drugs. But she feels the urge to pee, saying she will use her diapers, but Rintaro tells her to use the bathroom. They are about to drink tea, as Kusuri tells them to be careful, explaining that the tea for the girls is different from Rintaro's tea, but she can't explain it properly because she really needs to go to the bathroom. She rushes to the toilet, and they see 2 containers, thinking the small one is for Rintaro. They eat together, but Kusuri realizes that the girls are about to drink Rintaro's tea, so she warns them to spit it out, revealing that the big container has a drug that is supposed to make him kiss her, but he tells her that he will kiss her even if he isn't drugged. She is happy to hear this, and she is about to kiss him, but Inda suddenly grabs onto her, throwing her away, as he realizes that the girls want to kiss him. They start acting like zombies, and Kusuri realizes that she messed up, telling Rintaro to run, because the girls are experiencing the drug's side effect. She explains that it isn't safe for girls, because females already have a strong desire to kiss men. So the drug caused them to lose control, because the desire to kiss is so strong that it's the only thing left on their minds, and this somehow gives them super strength. She calls them kiss zombies, warning Rintaro that they will kiss him forever, but he seems to be okay with this. She explains that they need the medicine reversing drug before the drug circulates, or their personalities will be erased forever, and we learn that Rintaro only has 1 hour to get the drug, as they lunge at him, intending to kiss him to death. Kusuri and Rintaro run away, as Kusuri suggests heading to the chem lab to find a cure. But as they run around the campus, the zombies block their path. So Kusuri looks for something she can use against them, and she finds a drug that can melt faces, but Rintaro tells her not to use it, saying they should take a detour. But as they run away, the vice principal gets in their way, and Kusuri becomes frightened, so she uses the face-melting drug on her. But the vice principal's makeup protects her face, and she tells them that her true form is about to be revealed. She doesn't want anyone to see her face, so she crawls away as they continue to flee. The zombies come up with a plan, and they split up, planning to surround Rintaro. He realizes that he's their target, thinking Kusuri can find a cure without him, so he tells her to head to the lab, while he draws their attention. As Shizuka chases after him, she suddenly trips, hitting her head, and he becomes worried, so he takes her to the infirmary, where he treats her wounds. But he realizes that she's still a zombie, and she takes him down, kissing him repeatedly. He knows that he messed up, thinking it's all over for him, but he recalls that her personality will disappear if he doesn't find a cure. So he pushes her away, and he manages to restrain her, promising to cure her. He continues to run away, but Inda launches Hikari at him, causing him to fall. They pin him down, and they start kissing him as he wonders how he can escape. But he sees them arguing, realizing that they haven't changed, so he makes them kiss each other, and they start making out, as he realizes that they're actually tough lovers, because they fight every day. He is happy to see this, but he recalls that he still needs to find a cure, so he dashes away. But as he enters the lab, he sees Nano inside, and he hides inside a locker, thinking he just needs to buy time for Kusuri to find a cure. But he sees her in the locker, as she reveals that Nano spotted her before she could enter the lab, so she decided to hide there, and she can't find a way out. He realizes that Nano knows about their plan, thinking her intelligence makes her a threat to them. Kusuri tells him to act as a decoy, so that she can enter the lab, but he thinks that Nano will be able to see through their plan, because it would be too obvious if he just starts running away. Kusuri blames herself for the situation, revealing that her experiments always cause trouble for everyone, which explains why she is the only person left in the chemistry club. She says that she will stop experimenting, but at that moment, she realizes she still has one dose of the reversing drug. Rintaro thinks about using it on Nano, but Kusuri starts drinking it, and he tells her to stop, causing her to drop it. He tells her that they should have used it on Nano, and she realizes that he has a point, but she returns to her original form, telling him that she plans to enter the lab while Nano doesn't recognize her. But she was only able to get a sip of the medicine, so she explains that she doesn't have a lot of time. She thinks about restraining Nano before the drug wears off, but Nano finds her suspicious, and she is able to see through her plan, so she ties her up. Rintaro panics, thinking they won't be able to cure the zombies, but he sees the drug on the floor, and he comes up with a plan. He dashes away, running away from Nano, and he hides in a room, but she destroys the door, causing him to freak out. He realizes that there's no way out, and she starts kissing him repeatedly as he accepts his fate. This looks like the end for him, but at that moment, Kusuri gives her a drug, causing her to pass out, and Kusuri explains that she will be back to normal after she wakes up. We learn that he lured Nano away, because he knew that Kusuri's body was about to shrink, and this explains how she was able to break free. They cure the other zombies, and they wake up in the infirmary, wondering what just happened. Hikari recalls that she kissed Inda, but she claims that she doesn't remember anything, and Inda also knows what happened, but she pretends that her memory has been wiped out. Rintaro knows that they are just playing dumb, but he is happy that they are able to get along. Kusuri blames herself for what happened, so she apologizes to everyone, but he reminds her that she saved them, telling her that he is willing to fix her problems with her. So he advises her not to give up on her research, saying he loves her because of her passion. Everyone goes to a flower park, where they hear an announcement about the bouquet toss event. Hikari thinks they should participate, saying the couple that catches the bouquet gets to have a special photo shoot, where they are dressed up as a married couple. They are all eager to win, and we learn that Hikari always wanted to wear a wedding dress, thinking her dream is about to come true. A crowd gathers for the event, and we see the gorilla gang, as their leader orders them to win the game for her. Hikari thinks it will be difficult to deal with them, so she suggests working together and drawing lots to determine who will participate in the photo shoot. Rintaro thinks that Shizuka should stay back, because she's too small, so she could end up getting swallowed by the crowd. Kusuri is willing to participate in the game, so she drinks medicine, allowing her to return to her original form. Rintaro notices that the gang has a flag, so he creates one for his team, calling them the Rintaro family. The game is about to begin, and the announcer explains that physical attacks against other participants are prohibited, He introduces everyone to the special guest of the event, and we see that it's the vice principal. She tells everyone that she wants the bouquet to leave the atmosphere, because she doesn't want anyone to be happy. The game begins, and she throws the bouquet with incredible force. Everyone runs after it, as Rentaro notes that it's still going up, thinking it won't be landing for a while. We see the members of the gorilla gang attacking the other participants, as their leader claims that they're not resorting to violence, saying the gang is just training, so they aren't breaking the rules. The announcer agrees with her, and she throws the members of her gang, using them to knock people out. Hikari is about to get hit, but Inda protects her, saying she will join the gang to participate in their training. She grapples with the leader, telling everyone that she will take care of her, so they can focus on getting the bouquet. It starts to fall, so the gang members use their flags to create an incredible wind, causing it to change direction, and it looks like the gorilla gang is about to win. But at that moment, we see Shizuka in the air, and we learn that she was standing beside the flag bearers, so she was launched upwards when the wind vortex was created. She manages to grab the bouquet, but she is about to fall to her death, so the girls try to catch her, and Rentaro thinks they're in trouble, because they will get hurt if she crashes into them. But she bounces off their chests, allowing them to absorb the impact, and Rentaro catches her before she hits the ground. The Rentaro family wins the event, and they start drawing lots to determine who will be joining the photo shoot. But we learn that Hikari has a plan, and she marked the winning stick with a tiny cut. But she thinks it would be too suspicious if she drew the first stick, so she plans to wait for someone's turn to end before she makes her move. She believes that Nana will be an easy target, because she is obsessed with efficiency, so she will probably take the stick closest to her. Hikari puts the winning stick at the farthest position, and she tells Nano to take one, but she explains that it will be more efficient if they all drew at once. So Hikari's plan is ruined, realizing that she underestimated Nano, but she still ends up winning, so she is overjoyed, knowing her dream is about to come true. She sees Kasuri crying, because she really wants to join the photo shoot, so Hikari tells her that she can take her place, and Kasuri is grateful for this, but she changes her mind, saying she wants two of her favorite people to be in the photo. Hikari tells everyone to join, and they take a picture together. She thanks Rentaro for making her dream come true, but she tells him to break up with her, and she doesn't give him any explanation. So later that day, he wonders what's wrong with her, and he wants to talk to her, but he realizes that she has already left them. He tries to call her, but she won't pick up, so he decides to look for her house, revealing that her address is written on the envelope she sent him. We learn that she lives in a mansion, and he calls out to her, but she tells him to be quiet, as a guard arrives, wondering where the noise came from. He manages to hide, and he receives a call from an unknown number. He realizes that it's Hikari, and she tells him that she no longer loves him, but he knows that she's lying, saying he won't leave until he knows the truth. So she tells him that her mother Hana is against their relationship, because he has too many girlfriends. She explains that her phone was taken away, and she is about to leave the town, saying Hana is going to use her money to get what she wants, so Hikari thinks that she can never be with him. Hana suddenly arrives, and she takes the phone, telling him to stay away from Hikari, as she threatens to get rid of him. A guard restrains him, recognizing him as Hikari's ex-boyfriend, and telling him to give up, because he can never be with her. We see Rentaro walking away, thinking there's nothing special about him, so he doesn't deserve to be with Hikari. But he sees a 4-leaf clover, and he recalls the moments he spent with her, so he is determined to get her back. That evening, he discusses the situation with the girls, telling them that he plans to sneak into the mansion to take her away. But they think that he will never succeed, because Hana is extremely rich, so he won't be able to escape from her. He knows that he doesn't stand a chance, but he is determined to make Hikari happy, saying he is willing to risk everything for her. He explains that he's going to proceed with his plan, telling them to wait for him to return, but they tell him that they love him, so they are willing to join him in his plan. He tries to talk them out of it, knowing they're about to get into trouble, but he realizes that they all love Hikari, so they are all determined to save her. They go to the mansion, and Rentaro plans to throw a ball to grab Hikari's attention. But he misses the window, and the ball disappears. Inda sees a cat playing with it, and they try to chase after it, as it makes its way to Nano. She thinks that the most efficient way to deal with it is to disable it with a kick. But Rentaro stops the cat, and they hear the guard approaching, so they hide behind a tree. The cat approaches him, so he thinks that it caused the commotion, but they can no longer retrieve the ball, so they have no choice but to go to Hikari's room. They see a pet door at the entrance, and Nano collects rocks from the garden, using them to open the door. We learn that she was able to determine the lock's location from the shape of the door, and she launched the rocks with amazing precision, allowing her to unlock the door. She tells them to enter the mansion, but Rentaro notices that her thumb is injured, so Inda treats her wound, wondering what happened to it. She explains that she had to use her thumb to improve her accuracy, saying she owes Hikari for saving her from the perverts. They enter the mansion, but they see a guard dog approaching, so they decide to retreat, but they realize that Shizuka has been left behind. She thinks that it's all over for her, so she tells everyone to go without her. The dog approaches her, but it starts licking her, as Nano explains that dogs have a natural instinct to protect weak creatures, and Shizuka is so weak that the dog forgot about its duty to protect the mansion. Rentaro thinks that the dog will pursue them once they enter, so Nano suggests telling Shizuka to poke its eyes out. But Kasuri shows them a potion, revealing that it can put animals to sleep. She gives it to Shizuka, telling her to use it, but she ends up drinking it, because Kasuri forgot to tell her how to use it. She ends up falling asleep, but the dog licks the drug from her, causing it to feel drowsy. They enter a corridor, and the cat joins them, triggering an alarm. So the guards rush to their location, but they manage to hide, and the guards take the cat, realizing that it tripped the sensors. Nano thinks that they won't make it past the corridor, because they will need infrared goggles to avoid triggering the alarm. But Kasuri reveals that she brought infrared vision eye drops, and Rentaro decides to use it, as she explains that he will see nothing but the sensors while under its effect. Inda tells her that she dropped an envelope, and Nano notes that it's addressed to a foreign research team, realizing that she was planning to send the eye drops as an attachment to her application. But she tells them that Hikari is more important than the research team, and Rentaro's eyes transform, allowing him to see the sensors. But he thinks that it's impossible for them to pass through, because the sensors are everywhere. He realizes that there's an opening close to the ceiling, but the corridor is too wide for a person to climb to the top. Nano suggests getting two people to work together, but she notes that they are all girls, so she thinks that they are a poor match for Rentaro, because they can't match his strength. But she realizes that Inda is an exception, so she ties them together, telling them to synchronize their movements to get past the sensors. They are able to reach the top, and they make their way to the end of the corridor, as Rentaro tells Inda that her clothes are getting slippery. But we see that his head is pressed against her belly, causing her to feel some kind of way. They are able to reach the other side, and Rentaro tells the others to wait for them outside. They see Hikari's room, so they open the door, and they see her looking at their group picture. But at that moment, the alarm is triggered, as Rentaro realizes that they shouldn't have opened the door. They realize that they're surrounded by the guards, and they are taken to Hana, who tells them that she won't dispose of them because they're Hikari's friends. Rentaro tells her that he will make Hikari happy, but she doesn't believe him, revealing that she was 13 years old when she gave birth to Hikari. She explains that the man she loved was dying from sickness, and she wanted to bear his child before he died, so she underwent artificial insemination at a young age. She knows that she made a reckless move, thinking it runs in her blood, so she thinks that Hikari will do ridiculous things for love. After her lover died, she raised Hikari on her own, and though she was happy to have Hikari in her life, she realized that her lover could never be replaced. She doesn't want Hikari to go through the suffering she endured, so she wants Rentaro to stay away, thinking he can never bring Hikari happiness. Hana's story makes Rentaro cry, saying he doesn't want Hikari to suffer like she did. At that moment, the effect of the eye drop wears off, allowing him to see Hana, and as their eyes meet, they feel the shocking sensation, as he realizes she is also one of his soulmates. Hana instantly falls in love with him, asking him to go out with her, and Inda sees him considering it, so she reminds him that Hana is Hikari's mother. Hana explains that she was just joking, telling him that she will never allow his relationship with Hikari to continue. But he tells her that he will never give up, because he wants to make Hikari happy, but Hana doesn't believe him, so she brings out a lie detector, saying it should be able to reveal how unfaithful he is. But Rentaro doesn't trust it, so they decide to try it on Inda, as Hana explains that he won't be convinced if she uses it on her man. She asks Inda about her cup size, and she says that she almost has C cups. but the lie detector reveals that she's lying, as Hana explains that it can detect even the slightest lie. So Inda says that she's a B-cup, but it still says she's lying. So she becomes upset, admitting that she only has A cups, and it confirms that she's telling the truth. Hana wonders if she loves Rintaro, and she says that she does, but it reveals that she's lying, so he becomes devastated, thinking he's having a nightmare. She tries to explain how much she loves him, but it keeps calling her a liar, so he feels like he's about to die. But she says that she loves him more than anything else, and it reveals that she's telling the truth, so he immediately recovers. He decides to test the machine, saying he really loves Inda, and it confirms that he's telling the truth. Hana believes that he now trusts the machine, so she asks him about his feelings for Hikari. He tells her that he will make Hikari happy, saying he's willing to die for her, and the lie detector confirms that he's telling the truth. Hana can't believe that he's faithful to his girlfriends, knowing that he has 5 of them, and she explains that she doesn't trust the result. At that moment, a maid arrives, saying Hikari is about to take her own life. Inda threatens to break Hana's neck, and Rintaro panics, thinking she's serious, but she tells him to save Hikari, saying she will wait for him to return for her. So he runs off, as Hana tries to break free, but Inda stops her, saying she's doing this for Hikari. Meanwhile, we see Hikari as she's about to jump off the building, but Rintaro arrives, telling her to escape with him. But she knows that they'll have to keep on running if they escape, thinking he's going to be in trouble because of her. She tells him that she doesn't want him to be unhappy, but he explains he won't be happy if she dies, saying he doesn't want to live without her. He tells her that he loves her, so he wants her to stay with him, and she tells him that she feels the same way. But she ends up falling, so Rintaro rushes to her, catching her just in time. But he knows that he's in a bad position, so she tells him to let go, but he refuses, and he ends up falling with her. But before they hit the ground, he manages to kick the wall, and they land in the fountain. The girls rush to them, but Shizuka is about to drown, so Kusuri saves her, wondering what she was thinking. Hana is glad to see that they're okay, realizing that Rintaro is willing to risk his life to save Hikari, so she concludes that he's a man of his word. She tells him to take care of Hikari, and he realizes that she was risking everything to protect her daughter, so he thinks that she's a great person. He promises to make Hikari happy, but he tells Hana that he also wants her to be happy, and he agrees to go out with her. The girls freak out, realizing that she likes Rintaro, but she explains that she can't help it, because she finds him incredibly attractive. The girls take a bath together, and they start comparing their chests. But Inda knows that she's no match for them, so she decides to retreat. She sees Rintaro in their room, but he tells her that her belly is visible, and she recalls the time when he rubbed his head against it. She accuses him of doing it intentionally, but he tells her that he was worried about her, so he had to do everything to prevent her from falling. But she tells him that she was embarrassed, so she wants to get back at him. She puts her head on his belly, and she enjoys the moment, but Kusuri suddenly joins them, so they pretend they were doing push-ups. Hana invites everyone to a pajama party, telling the girls to get dressed, as Hikari explains that her mother likes to dress people up, and Rintaro sees them wearing pajamas, thinking they all look amazing. Kusuri and Shizuka kiss him, and he feels like he's going to heaven, but Hana's nose starts bleeding, so he assists her, helping her walk around the mansion. She tells him that she's too old to get excited, but he tells her that they can have fun together, and she tells him that she can't hold it back anymore, inviting him to go to her room. We return to the girls, as Inda notes that it's taking a long time for Rintaro and Hana to return. Hikari becomes nervous, thinking they are up to something, and at that moment, they hear Hana screaming, so they rush to her, wondering what they are doing. But they see Rintaro dressed up as a girl, and Hana is screaming because she can't believe how cute he is. He's embarrassed by the situation, and he suddenly collapses, as the girls become worried, thinking he's about to die, but Hana comes up with a plan, telling Nano to help her out. Nano dresses up as a prince, and Hikari notes that only the kiss of a prince can awaken Princess Rintaro. Nano kisses him, causing him to regain consciousness, and the girls enjoy the scene. But he tells them that he's had enough, saying he will take a bath, and the girls decide to watch him, wanting to see him naked. But Shizuka tries to stop them, so they restrain her, telling her to wait for them to return. We see Rintaro taking a bath, as Kasuri watches him from a window, but she can't see him because the glass is too foggy, so she presses her head against it. But Rintaro hears her, and he sees her head, causing him to become frightened because he thinks she's a ghost. She tells the girls that their plan has failed, so they pull her up, and Rintaro realizes that she's no longer there, so he quickly tries to finish up. Hana tells the girls that they can use the attic, saying it will lead them to the bathroom, but they think there's a mouse inside, so they freak out, and Rintaro hears them, thinking he's being haunted. Meanwhile, Shizuka is worried about Rintaro, thinking the girls are going to get everyone killed, so she tries to break free, but she realizes that she can roll away. She rolls down the staircase, causing her to gain momentum, and her restraints are removed, and she ends up in the bathroom. Rintaro panics, thinking she's a ghost, but he realizes that he was just seeing things, asking her what she's doing there, but his towel slips off, causing her to pass out. He's about to ask for help, but he sees the girls at the entrance to the attic, wondering what they're doing there. They tell him that they were just playing hide and seek, but Inda denies that they were planning to watch him, so their intentions become obvious, so he reprimands them. That evening, Rintaro sees Hana praying for Hakari's father, and he joins her, wondering why she never entertained a suitor after Hakari's father passed away. So she reveals that she's still in love with him, saying she has no right to love another man. But she tells Rintaro that she's in love with him, thinking it's not right, but he explains that she can love more than one man, as long as her feelings are real. She tells him to kiss her, as she recalls Hakari's father, who told her to save her first kiss for the man who will never leave her. Rintaro kisses her, as she becomes emotional, thinking about Hakari's father. That evening, we see everyone sleeping in one room, and Hakari approaches Rintaro, as Inda wonders what she's doing. Rintaro wakes up, and Hakari tells him that she just wants to sleep next to him, saying she was afraid that she would never be with him again. He kisses her, telling her that everything is going to be okay, and she's overjoyed to hear this, telling him to hold her until the sun rises. But after some time, Rintaro wakes up, and he sees Hakari making out with Inda, who thinks that she's Rintaro. He makes his way to the bathroom, but he sees Hakari's father, who is upset because he took both Hana and Hakari from him. But Rintaro thinks this is the perfect moment, saying he wants to talk to him, and Hakari's father wonders why Rintaro isn't afraid of him. Rintaro explains that it's because Hana loves him, thinking he's a great person, and he promises to make Hana and Hakari happy. He reveals that he has been watching over them for 16 years, and he thanks Rintaro for opening Hana's heart, saying he will be able to live in peace if Rintaro stays by her side. Rintaro is grateful to him because he was the one who brought Hakari into the world, and a bright light surrounds him as he reveals that he no longer has any regrets, so he's going to pass on, and his soul finally rests in peace. The next day, Rintaro and the girls go to school, but during the assembly, they are surprised to see that Hana has become the new chairperson, so that she will be able to see Rintaro every day. During their lunch break, he goes to Hana's mansion, but he realizes that she isn't there, so he rushes to the rooftop, and he sees her with the other girls, realizing that they are all waiting for him. They say that they love him, so he joins them and promises to make them all happy. We see Hakari talking to the girls, as she mentions that relationships tend to get boring after 3 months. She explains that over a year has passed since their last episode, and she tells them their relationship with Rintaro is about to go stale. So they think they need to do something, and Kasuri reveals that she has developed a new drug, which will make their relationship interesting again. But the solution becomes unstable, and it covers the area with smoke, so Rintaro rushes to the scene, and he realizes that they have all switched bodies. Hakari reveals that her plan was to change their personalities using the drug, but it ended up switching their souls, and they all start to argue. But Rintaro stops them, telling them he's confused, and Hakari notes that she can do whatever she wants because she's stuck in Nano's body, so he will never know that it's her. She clings to him, and she starts smelling his body, but he calls her name, and she wonders how he found out. He knows that Kasuri is in Hakari's body because he's familiar with the way she talks, and she mentions that she needs to pee, but she thinks she's okay since she wears diapers. So Hakari tells her she doesn't use diapers, and she takes her to the restroom. He wonders who's stuck in Kasuri's body, and he realizes that she's acting like Hana, who's overjoyed because she's young and energetic again. He sees Hana checking herself out, but she tells him she's just doing it to burn fat, so he realizes that she's Inda. He wonders who's in Inda's body, and he sees her smiling, so he thinks she's mad, but Shizuka gives Inda her cell phone as he notes that she looks cold. So he realizes that Nana's soul is inside her, while Shizuka's soul is stuck in Inda's body. He wonders how he can get the girls back to their bodies, and Shizuka suggests butting heads, so she tries it with Kusuri. But it doesn't work, so Hikari and Inda become upset, telling them not to damage their brains. Hana thinks kissing Rintaro might work, and she pats his head, as she calls him a good boy. She kisses him, but he realizes that her soul has left Kusuri's body, and the girls can't believe that it actually worked. Nano approaches him, as she notes that they should all kiss him, so that they can return to their bodies. He thinks motherly Kusuri was deadly, but Nano tells him to lower his head, telling him it's not the time to get flustered, and she kisses him, so her soul flies off. Kusuri starts to feel strange, so he quickly kisses her, and her soul is also released. He's so happy that he's about to lose it, but he notes that he needs to keep it together until he kisses everyone, and he sees Shizuka acting cute, so his head starts bleeding, but he tells her not to worry, and he kisses her as her soul takes off. Inda tells him to get it over with, and he tells her she's cute, so she hits him, but he notes that it doesn't hurt at all. He kisses her, and her soul joins the others, but Hikari suddenly hugs him, telling him the souls look cute. She mentions that she loves him, and she kisses him as her soul leaves Nano's body. The girls return to their bodies, and they're glad that everything's back to normal, but Rintaro's heart is about to explode, because he kissed all of them. Hikari asks him what he thinks about the shake-up, so he tells her it was exciting, but he mentions that he likes them better the way they are, and they tell him to kiss them again. After that, we see Rintaro in the cafeteria, and he's about to buy an egg on toast. But he accidentally touches a girl named Kurumi, and they both feel a spark, as he realizes that she's one of his soulmates. He notes that she's a middle schooler, but she asks him if he has a problem, saying she isn't banned from entering the high school cafeteria. The shopkeeper tells her to pay for the food, but she realizes that she forgot her wallet, so she walks away. We see her resting on a bench, when Rintaro gives her half of his egg on toast. She doesn't want to accept it, but she can't resist her cravings, so she decides to eat with him. As she takes a bite, she suddenly becomes cheerful, as she mentions that it tastes amazing. He asks her if it's her favorite food, but she tells him she just heard her classmates talking about it, so she got the craving for it. She reveals that she has an extremely fast metabolism, so she's always hungry, and she mentions that she acts up when she wants to eat something specific. She apologizes for being rude to him, and she reveals that she gets cravings whenever she sees or hears anything, so she uses her hoodie and headphones to shut out her senses. She thanks him for the food, and he asks for her name, but she wonders if he's hitting on her, so he realizes that she's hungry again. The next day, we see Kurumi walking past the other students, and we learn that she wants to eat a menchikatsu sandwich because she heard the class talking about it after it appeared in a TV show. She checks their cafeteria, but she realizes that it's sold out, and the shopkeeper tells her it's selling like hotcakes. But Rintaro asks her what she's craving today. She mentions that there are no menchikatsu sandwiches left in the campus, and he asks her if she wants to have a katsu sandwich instead. But she tells him it isn't enough to satisfy her cravings, so she thinks about buying from a convenience store. But he reminds her that middle school students aren't allowed to leave the campus during recess, and he offers to buy it for her. But she tells him she doesn't need his help, telling him to leave her alone. After that, we see Kurumi leaving a convenience store, as she wonders why she can't find a menchikatsu sandwich. Her cravings continue to bother her, so she starts losing it, thinking she's a terrible person, because she acts up in front of others, and even pushed Rintaro away. As she makes her way back to the campus, Rintaro approaches her, telling her to come with him, and he shows her a menchikatsu sandwich. She reminds him that she doesn't need his help, but he tells her they can share the food again, and she eats half of it, telling him it tastes delicious. He reveals that he made it himself, saying he used the ingredients in the cafeteria to prepare it, but she wonders why his hand has bandages, so he reveals that he got hurt while he was frying the patty. She wonders why he's so nice to her, reminding him that she was rude to him, but he mentions that he finds her charming because she enjoys eating her meals. She tells him she just eats like a normal person, but he explains that she makes her meals look delicious, telling her it takes skill to pull that off. He mentions that his food tastes better when he's eating with her, telling her she has qualities that bring joy to everyone around her. She tells him she feels the same way because her food also tastes better when she's with him, so she wants him to keep eating with her as her boyfriend. He becomes happy hearing this, telling her he loves eating lunch with her, and she introduces herself, saying she's a third-year middle school student. He calls her Kurumi-chan, but she tells him to stop using that name because it makes her crave chanko stew. After that, Rintaro introduces Kurumi to the girls, telling them she's always hungry, but she mentions that she doesn't want to be their friend, so they realize that she has an attitude. Nano thinks befriending each other is inefficient, but she reveals that she spends time with the girls because she loves all of them. They're touched by her words, and they tell her they also love her, but Kurumi thinks they're all weirdos. Rintaro tells everyone about a food fight festival, where the winner will get prize money, as well as a special gelato. Each team can have up to 10 members, so he thinks everyone should enter, but Kurumi tells him she can win the contest by herself. She thinks the others will only hold her back, because she won't get along with them, but Hana tells her that middle schoolers need a guardian to participate, and she knows that her parents aren't available. So she tells Hana to act as her guardian, but she mentions that she will only do it if Kurumi calls her mommy, and she refuses, so she decides to enter with the others. We see everyone at the food fight festival, where the host reveals that the participants will compete in 5 rounds, and the team with the highest score at the end wins the contest. She announces that the qualifying round is about to begin, and she reveals that the participants must eat rice to earn points. She mentions that there are side dishes available, but they won't earn points by eating them, saying the only way to win is to eat as much rice as they can. Kurumi mentions that she will enter every single round, saying she doesn't need the others to help her win the contest. So Inda mentions that they aren't useless, and Rintaro tells her not to hit Kurumi, but she explains that she isn't mad enough to throw hands. He notes that he wants Kurumi to work with the girls, but he thinks they need to start slow. The round begins, and Rintaro starts digging in, but he realizes that Kurumi isn't eating because she's focused on the side dishes. She starts eating rice, but he comes up with a plan, and he tells her to eat the side dishes. The other participants think she's an idiot, and Rintaro hears them, so he becomes furious. Hikari tells him to calm down, but she gets turned on, and Inda pushes her away, asking him what he's thinking, so he tells her to watch Kurumi to find out. She mentions that the side dishes taste delicious, and everyone notes that she makes it look good, thinking it's easier to eat the rice with the side dishes. So the other contestants start eating them, as Hikari realizes that Rintaro's plan is brilliant. He knows that Kurumi will burn through the extra food because of her metabolism, so it won't affect her, but he thinks it will fill up the other contestants, so she'll pull ahead of them. The girls continue to give him rice, but they think he's sick of it, so they tell him not to push himself. But he explains that he can't get enough of it, since the girls are affecting its flavor, saying it tastes amazing because of them. The other contestants see Rintaro and Kurumi as they stuff the food down, thinking they're monsters, and the host mentions that time is up. She announces the qualifying teams, and we learn that Rintaro and the girls barely made it to the top 3, while the Gorilla Gang got 2nd place. But the first placer is a solo competitor named Chanko, and Nano recognizes him as a champion of eating contests. The host mentions that it's time for the main rounds, saying the first round is bubble tea, and Rintaro wonders who will enter for the team. But the girls know that he still hasn't recovered from eating rice, so Hana tells him they will take care of it. But Kurumi mentions that she will join the round, and she looks down on her teammates, thinking they can barely eat. She enters the round with Shizuka, and the game begins, as Chanko downs the milk tea. Kurumi notes that it's delicious, but after 10 minutes, her jaw starts to hurt because of the tapioca balls, and the leader of the Gorilla Gang also struggles to chew it. But they realize that Shizuka is doing well, and Rintaro mentions that it's because of her tiny mouth. The girls note that she's used to chewing food because her bite is small, so she's perfectly trained for this challenge, thinking she's like a squirrel. Their team gets 2nd place, and the next round is a sushi eating contest, where the contestants must finish 10 pieces as fast as possible. Nano decides to participate because she's confident in her speed and efficiency, and the round begins, as everyone starts eating. Kurumi mentions that the food is delicious, but Rintaro tells her she doesn't have time to savor it, and she doesn't want to eat sushi without enjoying it. So she falls behind, but Nano gobbles up the sushi, and the girls realize she isn't chewing it, but she tells them it's the most efficient way to eat it. The Gorilla Gang slows down, and Chanko and Nano are about to eat their last pieces, but Nano suddenly stops as she mentions that her stomach has reached its limit. Chanko gets first place again, and the gorilla gang is catching up, so Nano realizes that she doesn't have a choice. She runs off as she notes that animals can consume excess food when its survival instincts activate. So she heads to a ledge, and she looks down as Rintaro realizes that she's using her fear of heights to eat the last piece. She notes that she's terrified, and she's able to finish it off, but she realizes that she can't get down, so Rintaro rushes to save her, and he carries her away. In the next round, the contestants need to eat a super spicy tofu, and Rintaro decides to send Inda because she's good with spices. Everyone except Chanko struggles to complete it, but thanks to Inda's spice tolerance, Rintaro's team wins the round. The next round's theme is cake, and everyone's enjoying the food, as Chanko leads the pack, so the gorilla gang tries to catch up. But Hikari mentions that she will gain weight because the cake is full of sugar, and everyone hears it, so most of the contestants stop eating. But Inda tells them that fat can go to the chest, so Hikari and Hana continue eating. Their team gets second place again, and Rintaro tells the girls they're doing great, as Kurumi realizes that her teammates are carrying her. The leader of the gorilla gang asks them how they can finish the food, so Rintaro tells her it's thanks to the power of love. The girls agree with him, but Kurumi doesn't understand what he means. The final round is about to begin, but Kurumi notices that everyone else has reached their limit, so she realizes she needs to fight for the team. The host announces that Chanko has the top spot, but the final round is for double the points, so the other teams can still catch up. The game begins, and the contestants start eating ramen, but the leader of the gorilla gang struggles to take a bite. Her teammates are worried, but she thanks them for sticking with her, saying she will show everyone what their gang is made of. They get inspired hearing this, and they decide to fight with her until the end, as the host mentions that it's okay for other members to join in the middle of the game. She tells them they must fight on, and they get fired up, so they start eating with incredible speed, but they all end up being sent to the hospital. The host mentions that Chanko and Kurumi are both on their 10th bowls, but we learn that Chanko hasn't eaten anything because he's wearing a mechanical suit where he uses a tank to store the food. He can't believe Kurumi is still eating, but he's determined to win the contest, and they both finish 22 bowls, but she suddenly slows down as she reaches her limit. She thinks about her teammates, knowing they carried her in the previous rounds, and she regrets not trusting them, thinking she could have won if she didn't participate in the other rounds. But they suddenly join the fight, and she wonders why they're helping her, because she was rude to them. But they don't care, telling her they're fighting as a team, and Rintaro mentions that they will win with the power of love. So she's determined to win the game, and she continues eating, but Chanko thinks they still don't stand a chance. But he suddenly realizes that his tank is full, so he takes on his second form, and he continues to eat, planning to use his stomach to win the contest. We see everyone on the ground, and the host mentions that the scores are tied, but Chanko and Kurumi fight on, and they try to get the last bite to win the game. Rintaro tells Kurumi to feed him, and he promises to let her taste anything she wants after the contest. The game is about to end, but she gives him the last bite, and Chanko tries to swallow the food, but he throws up, wondering how Rintaro was able to finish the last bowl. So he explains that he can't puke when his girlfriend feeds him, and his team wins the contest. They receive their reward, and Kurumi apologizes for being rude to everyone, but they all share their gelato with her. After that, Kurumi thanks Rintaro for helping her get along with the girls, and she reminds him about his promise to let her taste anything she wants. So he asks her what food she's craving, but she suddenly kisses him, saying she could get used to the taste of his lips. We see Hana in her mansion, and we learn that everyone respects her authority, so Hikari always looked up to her, but she thinks her mother has turned into a shadow of her former self. She sees her telling everyone to wear the baby clothes she made for them, so Rintaro tries to put it on, but Hana tells him it might break. She reveals that Kusuri invented a medicine that can turn them into babies, and she explains that it's a safe experiment because she brought reversing medicine with her. But she mentions that they could die if they reverse the babyfication within an hour, so the girls don't want to turn into babies. Hana starts crying because she wants to play mommy, but Hikari tells her to stop being immature in front of everyone, reminding her that she's her daughter. Rintaro tries to talk to her, but Kusuri thinks she needs to lighten the mood, and she sees a cat, so she orders it to fetch her medicine. but it runs away, and her drug becomes unstable, so Rintaro tells Hikari to get down, as it causes an explosion. They realize that the girls have turned into babies, so they start taking care of them, as Hikari notes that it feels like she has kids with Rintaro. He thinks the girls look like angels, but he notes that they must wait for an hour before they use the reversing medicine, so they need to look after the babies until then. But Shizuka thinks he wants to eat her, so she tries to escape, but he tells her to stay close, because the rooftop is dangerous. Kurumi tries to drink Hikari's milk, so she starts screaming, and he sees Nano going for the door, so he stops her, but she pokes his eyes. Kusuri prepares to drink the reversing medicine, but he grabs onto her, and he looks after the other babies. Inda and Kurumi try to get milk from Hikari, but they suddenly start fighting, so she tells them to play nice. But they start to cry, so she tries to cheer them up, and she notes that it's difficult taking care of them. Hana climbs on her back, and she pats her head, but she suddenly lets go of Inda and Kurumi. But Rintaro dives to save them, and the babies start laughing. He realizes that they liked it, so he keeps doing it, and everyone finds him amusing. Later that day, the babies fall asleep, but we see Rintaro in terrible condition, so Hikari patches him up. She realizes that being a parent is difficult, and he wonders if Hana also felt that way, saying she told him that Hikari is her shining ray of hope. After that, we see Hana crying, because she missed her chance to play mommy, and the girls think she's being childish. But Hikari apologizes for what she did earlier, and Hana mentions that she regrets her actions, because she didn't consider her daughter's feelings. But she tells Hana that she'll always love and respect her, as she realizes that Hana wasn't able to enjoy her life before she met Rintaro. So Hikari tells her to enjoy herself, knowing she wasn't able to do it because she had to take care of her. She's glad that Hikari understands how she feels, saying she's lucky to have her as her daughter. But Kusuri mentions that she still has babyfication medicine, and Hana tells her to use it so that she can have her turn. After that, we see everyone having a snack, as Hikari tells Kurumi that her eyes shine like emeralds while she's eating. So the girls start talking about each other's eyes, and Hana mentions that her maid Mei has beautiful eyes. She's flattered hearing this, but the girls mention that they have never seen them before because she's always smiling with them closed. Shizuka asks about her eyes, so Hana reveals that it's rainbow-colored, and Kusuri wants to see it, but Mei explains that she needs to keep smiling for her master. Hana mentions that she also wants to see her eyes, so Mei tries to change her expression, but she realizes that she can't, because she smiled for so long that her facial muscles are now stuck. She mentions that she can't open her eyelids, thinking she has failed as Hana's maid, because she can't obey her orders. So she thinks about looking for a scalpel to cut them off, but Hana tells her to forget about what she said, and she notes that Mei is so loyal that it's scary. She mentions that she will do anything for her master, and Nano thinks she's like an android, but Kurumi wonders how she can see, because her eyes are always closed. But she reveals that she can see using her other senses, and she realizes that a pot is about to hit Rintaro. So she catches it, asking him if he's okay, and he thinks she's amazing, because she was able to save him with her eyes closed. Shizuka comes up with an idea, and she says boo, but everyone just stares at her. He realizes that she was trying to startle Mei, so he pretends to be surprised, and the girls note that her goal was to get Mei to open her eyes. Kusuri thinks about using her drug to melt Mei's face, but Rintaro stops her, and Nano approaches Mei with a cutter, as everyone wonders what she's thinking. She stabs Mei, but nothing happens, and she reveals she retracted the blade before stabbing her. Everyone is relieved, but Shizuka starts crying, so Nano tries to apologize, but Rintaro tells them it's nobody's fault. Kurumi reveals that she has a plan, and she gives Mei a sweet bun, so she eats it, saying it tastes delicious. But Kurumi wonders why her plan didn't work, because she thought delicious food would open Mei's eyes. Rintaro thinks good times might do the trick, and Hikari wonders what makes Mei happy, so she reveals that she enjoys seeing her master in a good mood. Hana mentions that she likes getting cozy with Rintaro and the girls, so Hikari decides to sacrifice Inda. She tells Inda to come to her, and she doesn't want to do it, but Hikari pushes her to Hana. Mei enjoys watching her master happy, but Rintaro sees that their plan didn't work, so he wonders how they can get her to open her eyes, thinking it's his job to show his girlfriends what they want to see. He suggests making her laugh, because he thinks she might do it with her eyes open, but Inda wonders how they're supposed to do that. So he tells Mei about a mistake he made yesterday, saying Kusuri shared a brain teaser where he had to say Totoro multiple times. She asks him a question, and he answers Tororiyam, but she tells him he's wrong, and Kurumi wants them to stop because they're making her crave food. He mentions that he wants to watch a movie, which is called Tonari no Totoro, but he ends up saying Tororo no Tororo because of the brain teaser. Mei laughs at his story, but he reveals that he wasn't the one who said it, saying it was actually Hana, and Mei suddenly opens her eyes. They both feel the shocking sensation, so he realizes that she's one of his soulmates, but she closes her eyes, and the girls wonder how his plan worked. He explains that she's extremely loyal to Hana, so she didn't want to laugh at her, which explains why her expression suddenly changed. Hana realizes that she's blushing, so she asks Mei if she fell in love with him at first sight, and the girls want her in their family, but she explains that she can't have feelings for her master's lover since she's loyal to her. But Hana tells her to put her feelings first, so she asks Rintaro to go on a date with her. The next day, Mei picks Rintaro up at his house, and he recalls that when she asked him out, Hana told her she should act as his personal mate instead. He thinks it's his chance to get to know her better, and she asks him where he wants to go. But he wonders what she enjoys doing during her free time, saying he wants to go wherever she likes, and she mentions that she loves Hana, so she decides to drive to her house. But he tells her to think of something else, and she mentions that she also loves him, so she starts driving back to his place. She explains that she can't think of anywhere else to go, because she doesn't have hobbies, so he tells her to take them to the park. They enjoy the scene, and he asks her what she wants to eat, but she tells him not to think about her, and he realizes that she wants to do nothing but please him all day. So he tells her to cook something for him, thinking it will help him find out what she wants to eat. But she just tells him to wait, and she gives him a bento meal she made, saying she cooked it for him this morning because she was excited. He notes that she didn't tell him about it because she wanted him to eat whatever he wanted, so he realizes that she's selfless. He starts eating it, telling her it tastes delicious, and he thanks her for the meal, but he asks her why she seems restless. So she tells him to give her orders, telling him she wants to serve him. He orders her to take a sakura branch, but he realizes that he's treating her like a dog, so he thinks he deserves to die. He tells her to throw it, and he fetches it for her, thinking it's the best way to order her around without treating her like a dog, but she asks him what they're doing there, saying she wants to serve him. He tells her she needs to treat herself better, but she mentions that her life is worthless, thinking her only purpose is to serve her masters. But he orders her to stop being useful to him, and he explains that her presence makes him feel better, so she hides behind a tree, but he tells her to stop watching him because it's helping him relax. So she decides to return to Hana, who asks her what she's doing there because she's supposed to be with Rintaro, so she explains that she's just following his orders. But Hana suddenly receives a call from him, and she gives the phone to Mei. He tells her his heart is racing because he's imagining what she's up to, so she doesn't know what to do next. She returns to him, and he mentions that she isn't following his orders, but she explains that it doesn't matter what she does because he always finds her useful. She thinks about ending her life so that she'll no longer be useful to him, but he mentions that she finally gets his point. He tells her she's helping him just by existing, so she doesn't need to keep following his orders to serve him, telling her to just be herself. Mei recalls the moment she was about to freeze to death, but Hana saves her, telling her she will call an ambulance. Mei thinks she isn't worth saving because her life has no purpose, but Hana tells her she isn't worthless and helps to keep her warm until the ambulance arrives. We return to the present as Rintaro tells her he loves her, telling her he wants her to be his girlfriend. The girls welcome Mei to their group, and Hana suggests that they should all dress up as maids. Inda is against it, but Rintaro looks forward to seeing them wear it, so they decide to do it, and he thinks they look adorable. Mei mentions that a maid must always look presentable, but Hana wonders if she can stay clean even when people are trying to get her dirty. She suggests running an experiment where the girls will have a maid shootout with water guns, saying the ones who get wet will lose the game. She mentions that the winner gets to hug and kiss Rintaro, so everyone's determined to win, and he dresses up as a butler to serve as the referee. The game begins, and Inda tries to shoot Mei, but she dodges all of her shots. She fires back, and Inda avoids the water, but she shoots again, and Inda thinks she's doomed, but she still manages to dodge it. Hikari is impressed, but Kusuri tells Inda she's wide open, and she finishes her off. Kusuri celebrates, but Nano suddenly shoots her from behind, so she also gets eliminated. Hana realizes that maids look cuter when they're wet, and Kurumi prepares to shoot her, but she throws a bun which distracts her, and Hana takes her out. Nano charges in, but Mei shoots her, as she uses her genius intellect to take everything into account, and she dodges the shot. She starts fighting Mei, but they struggle to hit each other, and she notes that fighting her is inefficient, so she decides to look for an easier target. She sees Shizuka, who panics as she sees her, so she starts shooting everywhere. Nano prepares to take her out, but she suddenly gets hit. We learn that Shizuka got lucky because she kept firing in all directions, and one of her shots just happened to land on Nano. But we see that she's also wet because one of her shots landed on herself. Hikari takes Hana hostage, and she threatens to shoot her if Mei doesn't eliminate herself, so she thinks about doing it. But Hana shoots herself first, so Mei becomes upset, and she takes Hikari out. Rintaro is about to announce that she's the winner of the game, but she tells Hana to hang on, and when she holds her, she also gets wet. He realizes that there were no survivors, but he announces that they're all winners, and they all line up to have their moment with him, so he also ends up wet. After that, the girls wonder how Mei became Hana's maid, and she gives everyone a senseless explanation. But they all start crying, realizing she had a tragic past, but Kurumi doesn't understand what she said. She mentions that she belongs to Hana because she saved her life, but she wonders why Hana decided to help her, since they didn't even know each other. So she reveals that she just found her cute, and the girls think she shouldn't have said that, but Mei feels honored, so everyone realizes that they're both idiots. We see the girls stepping on the scale, and they realize that they gained weight because of the food they ate during the festival. But Kurumi isn't affected because of her extremely fast metabolism. They decide to have training sessions together, and Rintaro can't believe they're aiming for greater heights because they're already the cutest. He thinks they'll set a world record with their cuteness, but he suddenly sees a girl trying to recruit players into the girls' baseball team. Their eyes meet, and they both feel the shocking sensation, but she asks him if he wants to join her team. He reminds her that he's a boy, so he can't join her team, but he asks for her name, and she introduces herself as Sudo. But he apologizes for disturbing her because she was busy recruiting members into her team. She reveals that they have a practice game this weekend, and their team will be disbanded if they don't win it. But they don't have enough players to participate, and Rintaro knows that a baseball team needs 9 players, so he asks her how many she needs. She reveals that she needs 8, so Rintaro realizes that she's the only member in her team. But she explains that there used to be 9 players, and they all wanted to become national champions, so her teammates left her to train in America. She reveals that she decided to stay there because she wants to make sure they have a baseball team waiting for them when they return. He tells her she can't do everything alone, but she thinks she can achieve anything if she works hard, and she reveals that she practices her swings because she wants people to take an interest in baseball. She mentions that she has already performed over 10,000 swings today, as she reveals that she comes to school 4 hours early and even tries to recruit people during her recess. He asks her if her arms are starting to hurt, but she believes the pain will only make her stronger, and she reveals that she actually enjoys the suffering. But she suddenly collapses, so he tells her not to push herself, but she thinks she needs to keep going because she hasn't suffered enough, so he realizes that she's a masochist. He asks her what he can do to help because he doesn't want her to work herself to death, but she just tells him to hit her while she practices her swings, so he realizes that she's insane. So she tells him to help her train instead, and they have a practice game. After that, Sudo massages Rintaro's foot, as she thanks him for helping her out, and he tells her they can hang out after school tomorrow. The next day, we see Sudo walking around the campus, as she looks forward to playing with Rintaro again. She realizes that she's in love with him, but she sees him holding Nano's hand, so she becomes jealous. Later that day, Rintaro invites Sudo to play with him, but she suddenly asks him to go out with her. But he explains that he already has 8 girlfriends, and he isn't sure if he can make her happy, so he decides to reject her. She realizes that she has just experienced her first heartbreak, but it makes her excited, because the pain is unbearable, and she's glad that he broke her heart. But he suddenly throws up blood, so she freaks out, and he reveals that he saw her watching him with Nano, but he realized she enjoyed the suffering. So when she asked him out, he knew that she just wanted to experience the pain of being rejected. She's embarrassed since he was able to see right through her, and he reveals that he just pretended to reject her, telling her he wants to be with her so that he can continue to support her. She thinks he can't make her happy because he already has 8 girlfriends, but he tells her he'll do everything to make all of them happy, so she decides to become one of his girlfriends. Rintaro introduces Pseudo to the girls, and she tells them she's glad to be there, but she wants them to hit her with a baseball bat. He reveals that she's a masochist, but she explains that she wants them to smack her because she feels inferior to them. She thinks she's no match for them because they're all incredibly attractive, and she thinks she doesn't deserve to be one of them, but Rintaro tells her she's amazing. Kusuri offers to do it for her, and she hits her, as Nano notes that they're both weirdos. Everyone starts talking to Pseudo, and Rintaro asks them if they want to try baseball. He tells them that the girls' baseball team is in danger, and Inda wonders if Hana can do anything as the chairperson of the board. But she tells Pseudo that there are other clubs that have already been shut down, and if she saves the baseball team, it won't be fair for the other students who lost their clubs. She adds that if she abuses her powers, the school's reputation will suffer, and it would affect the students' career prospects. Rintaro tells the girls they aren't required to join the baseball team, but he mentions that he'll be there to support them. They realize that it's a perfect opportunity to exercise, so they all decide to participate. But Inda notes that 3 of them can't play because they aren't high schoolers, but they want to join the practice so that they can also work out. He realizes that they just need to recruit 3 more members to complete the team, but Inda mentions that they need to win and none of them plays sports. But he thinks they can win with the power of love, and they all decide to do their best. After that, Rintaro tells the girls they should start with the basics, so they decide to play catch. Hana throws the ball at Inda, but her melons start bouncing, so Inda becomes upset, so she throws it back as hard as she can. Kusuri plays catch with Nano, who mentions that her technique is inefficient, and she thinks Nano is like a pitching machine. Hakari throws the ball at Kurumi, who imagines the chocolates she used to eat, and she catches it with her mouth. Mei is partnered with Shizuka, but she realizes that her legs are trembling, so she makes the ball roll on the ground. Rintaro tells the girls it's time to practice swings, but he sees Kusuri holding the bats like she's Zoro, so he tells her she only needs to use one of them. They train together until it gets dark, and we see that they're already exhausted, so Rintaro thinks they should call it a day. But Pseudo wants to continue her training, and she tells everyone to go home, so they bid her farewell. The next day, Rintaro and the girls return to school, and we see that they aren't feeling well because their muscles are sore. But they realize that Pseudo is still at the same spot, and she mentions that she has performed over 100,000 swings. She greets everyone, but she suddenly starts to feel strange, and she collapses due to exhaustion. So they take her to the infirmary, and they think she's insane because she trained all night. But they realize that it's time for their next subject, so they head to their classrooms. After some time, Pseudo wakes up, but she thinks she needs to practice again, and Rintaro arrives, telling her to stay in bed. But she explains that she needs to train because she needs to win the practice game. He tells her it's time for class, but she wonders why he's there, so he reveals that he made frequent trips to the bathroom to check on her. He doesn't want her to train herself to death, so he comes up with a plan to pretend that he's sick, so that she'll be forced to stop training. That evening, Rintaro and the girls call it a day, but Pseudo refuses to go home, so he decides to execute his plan. But the girls mention that they want to train with her, because they know that she wants to make all of them happy by winning the game. They're determined to improve, so that they can win as a team, but they wonder why Rintaro took his clothes off. But he tells them to ignore him, and they all decide to do their best for the team. As the game is about to begin, Rintaro reveals that he recruited 3 girls to fill in the remaining spots. But he suddenly receives a text from them, which mentions that they can't play because they're sick, so he becomes nervous. The coach of the Jurassic team tells them to take the game seriously, and she promises to treat them to barbecue if they win. But Rintaro tells her they have 3 members absent, so he needs to add family and friends to their team, and she tells him it's okay, so everyone prepares to play the game. Pseudo throws the ball, and the Jurassic team struggles against her, so one of them, named Baroki, becomes nervous. Their ace Tarano recognizes her as a talented player, and Baroki knows that she was involved in a traumatic incident in middle school, so they don't have to worry about her on offense. The teams change sides, and Inda takes her position as the batter, but Tarano throws the ball with tremendous force. Inda manages to hit it, but her bat flies off as she realizes that she isn't strong enough to stop it. Baroki tells her they don't stand a chance, and she reveals that Tarano only throws middle fastballs, but she's so strong that her throws can destroy bats. Baroki is the only one who can catch every ball she throws, and we learn that they're known as the Destiny Duo. Inda gets wrecked, and during Pseudo's turn, Tarano tosses the ball, so she prepares to hit it. But she hears the audience cheering for the players, and she becomes distracted, so she doesn't even take a swing. Her teammates wonder what's wrong with her, but she realizes that she can't win if she doesn't take a swing, and Baroki realizes that she's in the zone. So she gives Tarano a signal, and she uses her ultimate skill to launch the ball with all her might. Pseudo hits it, but her bat ends up breaking, and she gets injured, so the others rush over to her. Baroki notes that it will affect her performance, but we learn that Tarano can only use the skill once a day, because it hurts her arm. The girls struggle against the Jurassic team because they're no match for Tarano, and they realize they're going to lose. Pseudo blames herself for what's happening, but Rentaro tells them it's too early to give up. He notes that they can't let the Jurassic team score another point, or they'll lose the match, so he tells everyone to focus on defense. But Baroki thinks it's all over for them, and she decides to target Shizuka because she's the weakest link. As Shizuka waits for the ball, Baroki tells her she's dragging her team down because she's bad at the game, so she spaces out, and Hikari throws the ball at her, but she can't catch it, and the Jurassic team scores 3 points. Baroki thinks they'll surrender, but they see Shizuka crying, and Kasuri notes that Baroki bullied her. So they become upset, and Inda takes her position as the batter, but Baroki tells her they don't stand a chance, and she calls Shizuka a baby. Tarano throws the ball again, but Inda manages to hit it, and she suddenly goes full Dragon Ball, because she doesn't want them to pick on Shizuka. She manages to score a point, and the other girls follow suit, so Baroki freaks out. She realizes that everyone in their team is fired up, and Pseudo quickly recovers, so Baroki wonders what's happening, as she realizes they all powered up. But we see that they're still 3 points behind, and Tarano pitches the ball, but Kasuri manages to stop it. A player from the Jurassic team prepares to stop her, but he's surprised as she suddenly becomes smaller, and she manages to reach the base. Hana also manages to hit the ball, and she reaches the base just in time. During Shizuka's turn, she recalls that everyone believes in her, so she's determined to do her best. Tarano throws the ball, and Baroki thinks Shizuka doesn't stand a chance, but she hugs the bat to keep it stable, and manages to stop the ball. She runs to the base, as Baroki notes that she's ridiculously slow, but the baseman finds her cute, and she remembers her dog that passed away. So she starts crying, and she fails to catch the ball. Shizuka reaches the base, but the baseman hugs her, telling her she did a great job. Pseudo is the next batter, but Rentaro knows that something's bothering her, because she hesitates when she's in the batter's box. So she reveals that while she was playing a game, a girl in the stands was injured after she hit a home run. She thinks about that moment every time she plays, but she promises not to let her friends down. Tarano pitches the ball, but Pseudo hesitates once again, and she misses the ball twice, so everyone becomes nervous. But she suddenly gets in the zone, and Baroki notes that the game's over if she doesn't hit the ball, so she tells Tarano to go for it. So she uses her ultimate skill once again, and Baroki is confident that Pseudo won't be able to stop it. She hits it, but the force is so powerful that her clothes are torn to shreds, and she thinks she'll hurt someone if she hits a home run again. But Rentaro tells her to send it his way, so she launches it towards him, and everyone can't believe she was able to pull it off. The ball starts falling with ridiculous force, and Rentaro puts everything on the line to catch it, because he knows that Pseudo will stop playing baseball if he fails. There's suddenly a powerful shockwave, but as the dust settles, we see that he was able to catch the ball. So his team wins the game, as Pseudo approaches him, but he becomes flustered, since she lost her clothes. But she wants to thank him for helping her win the game, and she kisses him, telling him she loves him. After that, Rentaro and the girls have a barbecue with the Jurassic team, and Baroki apologizes for being mean to Shizuka, as they all enjoy their meal together. We see Rentaro and the girls on a karaoke date, and he thinks they're all amazing, as they perform in front of him. He leaves to get orange juice, but he sees Shizuka, who reveals that she has never sung in front of others before, so she's afraid that she'll mess up. but he tells her not to worry, telling her to just enjoy the moment. She checks the songbook as she realizes that everyone's having fun. She thinks she won't feel embarrassed if she sings in front of them because she treats them as family, so she decides to go for it. Kusuri reveals that she set up a cuteness-boosting medicine in the room so that everyone will love her performance. But Shizuka starts performing, and the drug takes effect as everyone struggles against her cuteness. Rintaro and Hana get blown away, and Nano notes that she's about to pass out. So Sudo decides to hit her to keep her awake, but she dodges the attack and hits Sudo instead. But the pain excites her, and she crashes into the wall, telling Nano her swing was amazing, but she reaches her limit, and Shizuka's cuteness sends her flying. The other girls struggle as Shizuka sings the chorus, and Mei steps forward to protect them, but she gets overwhelmed, and she suddenly starts hallucinating. She also gets blown away, and Kurumi mentions that she wants to eat Shizuka, but her cuteness sends her flying. Kusuri thinks about using her drug to melt her ears, but Hikari mentions that even the reversing medicine won't be able to cure that. Kusuri realizes that she can use it to reverse the effect of the cuteness-boosting medicine, but Shizuka's cuteness intensifies, and she crashes into the wall. Hikari hides behind Inda, and she considers having her babies, but Inda mentions that she's a girl, so she wants to have babies with Rintaro. Hikari tells Rintaro what she just said, so she freaks out, but Shizuka reaches the final chorus, and Inda suddenly gets blown away. Hikari thinks she'll make it, but Shizuka's cuteness further intensifies, and it overwhelms Hikari, who joins her fallen comrades. Rintaro gets back up, because he doesn't want Shizuka to see the damage she caused after she sings. So he walks forward, thinking he can't interrupt her while she's singing, so he decides to join her instead. But it triggers an explosion of sweetness, which causes the girls to fly out of the building, but he saves all of them. We see Rintaro in a mall, and he realizes that it's beautiful, so he decides to take the girls there. But a girl mentions that it's nothing compared to her beauty, and as she sees Rintaro, they both feel the shocking sensation, so he realizes that she's one of his soulmates. She invites him to go out with her, telling him it's an honor to become her lover, and she introduces herself as Mimi. He realizes that they're schoolmates, and she's 1 year ahead of him, but she tells him she's jealous because he gets to have a date with her. So he realizes that she's a narcissist, and she tells him they need to work on his appearance because he needs to be as beautiful as her. She gives him a complete makeover, and he realizes that he looks like Nano, but the shopkeeper shows him the bill, and he can't believe how much it is. So Mimi offers to pay for it, but he tells her it's okay, and he decides to do it himself. They enjoy their drinks together, but Rintaro realizes that everyone's watching them. Mimi notes that it's normal, because they're a beautiful couple, but she reveals that someone surpassed her beauty in the past, and he thinks it might be Nano. There's a girl that gets jealous of Mimi's beauty, but her boyfriend tells her she looks prettier, saying Mimi just stands out because of her clothes and makeup. Rintaro thinks about confronting them, because they're being mean to her, but Mimi notes that they know nothing. She explains that she uses the money she earns to improve her appearance, but she knows that she can't buy beauty, because she also needs to work hard to earn it. She thinks they're just jealous, because they can't match her beauty, so the boy becomes upset, and he throws his drink at her, but Rintaro protects her with his body. A cop rushes to catch the boy, so he runs away, as Rintaro notes that his jacket is ruined, but she can't believe he doesn't care about his outfit. The boy slips, and he's about to fall on his drink, but Rintaro saves him, and the boy wonders why he would do that. So he reveals that he doesn't care what happens to his clothes, as long as Mimi is okay, and he knows that the boy was just trying to stand up for his girlfriend, so he can't bring himself to hate him. The boy notes that he's the perfect boyfriend, and he apologizes for what he did, as his girlfriend follows suit. He decides to turn himself in, and Mimi removes Rintaro's wig, telling him he doesn't need to improve his appearance, because his heart is already beautiful. She tells him she loves him, and she invites him to go out with her, so he tells her it would be an honor. But he reveals that he already has 9 girlfriends, and she's surprised to hear this. But she realizes that she would become his 10th girlfriend, and she thinks 10 is a beautiful number, so she tells him it's okay. Nano suddenly arrives with Shizuka, who tells Rintaro she went to the bookstore, and he tells Mimi that they're 2 of his girlfriends. But Mimi recognizes Nano, because she was the one who surpassed her beauty, and she refuses to become a part of his family, since she doesn't want to be with Nano. She challenges her to a beauty search contest, where the loser must leave his family, and he thinks Nano won't accept it. But we see her riding a wheelchair, and she gets up, telling Mimi she'll rise to her challenge. We see that there was a beauty contest in the past, which Nano ended up winning, but she notes that she only entered by mistake. Mimi can't believe she lost, but she tries to make friends with Nano, but Nano thinks friendship is a waste of time, and she leaves her hanging. We see everyone gathered on the roof, as Mimi is determined to finally win against Nano. Rentaro notes that they'll have a beauty search contest to see which of them will be exiled from the family, but Inda has no idea what it means, so Mimi explains that each of them will be subjects, and they will take turns calling out qualities that make each of them beautiful, with Rentaro acting as the judge. They will go through each one of them, and the person with the most points at the end will be the winner. Inda thinks it's ridiculous, but Mimi notes that it's an officially recognized event of the World Beauty Association. She notes that the contest has already begun, and she starts with Inda, saying her pursuit of finding out the details is beautiful, and Rentaro gives her a point. Nano points out Inda's almond-shaped eyes, so she also gets a point. They both continue to compliment Inda, and she gets embarrassed hearing what they're saying. The other girls are also complimented in the following rounds, and we see that after 7 rounds, Nano ends up in the lead. Hikari notes that Nano will have a huge lead if she wins the next round, and the next subject for the contest is Shizuka. Hikari thinks Nano has the advantage since she has spent a lot of time with Shizuka, and she starts off with the first compliment, calling Shizuka's quiet nature cute, but Rentaro notes that cute isn't the same as beauty, so she doesn't get a point. She becomes devastated by her mistake, and Mimi ends up winning the 8th round. Rentaro notes that he is the final subject of the contest, and Mei decides to be the judge of the round. Mimi starts off by complimenting Rentaro's thick eyebrows, and as Mei is about to give her a point, Rentaro tells her to look closer. The girls are shocked seeing he shaved his eyebrows, and Mimi doesn't get a point. Nano compliments his uniform style, but he suddenly rips it off, so she also doesn't get a point. They wonder what he's doing, but they both refuse to lose, so they continue to compliment him, but he removes everything that they point out. The time for the round ends, and we see Rentaro looking ridiculous. The girls both have 0 points, so Rentaro notes that it's a draw, and neither of them will be exiled. Hikari is moved to see how far Rentaro went to save them both, but Mimi considers the draw a loss, so she prepares to leave. But Nano tells her to wait, apologizing for trampling on her feelings in the past. She mentions how she has learned the value of friendship since she has been with Rentaro, and she asks for the chance to be her friend. We see that in the past, Mimi thought Nano was stunning, and she was the one who secretly entered Nano into the beauty contest because she wanted to be her friend. After that, Rentaro formally asks the girls to accept Mimi, and they think that even though she can be stuck up, she isn't bad, so they welcome her to the family, and she mentions she will make them all as beautiful as her. She starts off by giving Kusuri a makeover, and everyone is impressed. Kusuri rushes over to show Rentaro, and she jumps up and kisses him. Mimi remembers hearing that kissing someone you love produces a hormone that's vital for beauty, so she tells the girls that they all need to kiss Rentaro, but he isn't sure about it. Hana notes that they just want to be more beautiful for him, so he ends up agreeing to do it. Kusuri reveals a new lip balm drug that increases stimulation, and Mimi thinks that the more pleasure they feel could lead to more production of the hormone. Nano tries it out first, and when she kisses Rentaro, she's overwhelmed by the sensation, and she falls to her knees. Rentaro also feels strange from the kiss, and he wonders if he's being affected by the lip balm. The other girls take their turns kissing him, and they all find it incredible. Sudo asks for her turn, and she finds it amazing, so she tries to last as long as possible, but her legs end up shaking uncontrollably. Inda notes that she doesn't care about a kiss, but Rentaro kisses her anyway, and she hugs him so hard that she crushes his back. Hikari kisses him next, and the feeling makes her explode with a nosebleed. Inda rushes to check up on her, but her vision is blurry, so she kisses her thinking she's Rentaro, and Hana gets a nosebleed as she takes pictures. Mimi is the last to kiss Rentaro, and she can instantly tell that the beauty hormones are being released, so she tells everyone they need to keep kissing him. At the end of the day, we see that everyone has become beautiful, and Rentaro has even become a work of art. We see a group of researchers in a lab, and their leader notes that there's a decline in solar activity, which has been causing weather anomalies. They're afraid that if nothing changes, the world will plunge into an ice age, and Rintaro learns about it, so he becomes concerned. We see Rintaro with the girls, who realize he's bald because he shaved his head during the beauty search contest. But Kusuri reveals that she has a hair-growing medicine, and Mei notes that she knows how to cut hair. So they use the drug on Rintaro, and Mei does a perfect job styling his hair. Hana asks Kusuri if she has a hair control medicine, so she shows it to Hana, but she suddenly drinks it, and Kusuri tells her to spit it out because it's a bad mix. Hana's hair turns into a cocoon, and it tries to attack Mei, so Rintaro saves her, but he sprains his ankle. So Mei takes him to safety, and the girls wonder what happened to Hana. So Kusuri reveals that she drank a mix of hair control and hair-growing medicine, which caused her hair to take over her brain. Kusuri explains that the hair only follows Hana's instincts, and won't stop growing unless they wake her up. Kurumi realizes that the hair is about to attack them, so she tells everyone to watch out, but she ends up getting caught. Rintaro runs away with the girls, and they see the vice principal, but the hair knocks her out. They realize they're surrounded, and Kusuri gives Shizuka a drug, before sacrificing herself to create an opening for the others. She tells everyone to escape, but Hikari gets caught, so Inda tries to save her, but Hikari tells her to stop, because she's breaking her arm, so Inda decides to let go. The survivors reach the car, so they try to use it to escape, but Mei realizes it isn't moving. They see that the hair is holding it in place, so Inda and Sudo push it to help the others escape. Inda tells Sudo to get her bat, and she uses it to send her flying, allowing her to get to the car. Mei notes that the hair is trying to block the exit, so Sudo grabs onto it, and tells the others to escape while she holds it in place. It suddenly restrains her, and she feels like it's ripping her apart, but she actually likes it. It starts attacking everyone in the city, as the girls realize the world is in danger, and Nano suggests escaping to the roof of a nearby building. They decide to go with her plan, and Rintaro tells Shizuka and Mei they need to hurry, but Shizuka drinks the drug Kusuri gave her, and Mei drives away with her. The hair starts chasing after her, and Nano realizes that she used a fantasy medicine to become cuter, so that she can buy time for them to escape. We see a group of girls trying to enter the elevator, but the hair suddenly grabs onto them, so Nano notes that they need to take the stairs. She and Mimi help Rintaro reach the rooftop, but he realizes that the entire city is covered in Hana's hair, so he thinks it's the end of the world. Nano takes out her cutter, as she notes that they need to cut the hair, and Mimi mentions that she can style it with her hairbrush. They fight to defend themselves, but the hair prepares to attack Rintaro, so they try to defend him, but they end up getting captured. Mei and Shizuka suddenly arrive in a helicopter, revealing that they were able to survive because of Shizuka's enhanced hearing, and they went to Hana's mansion to get the chopper. They help him escape, but he doesn't want to leave Nano and Mimi, so they tell him to go without them, because he's the only one who can save the world. He escapes with Shizuka and Mei, and he tells them he has a plan, telling them to take him to the center of the scalp, where they can find Hana. They're worried that he'll die if his plan fails, but he promises to return, and jumps off the chopper. He thinks the hair will save him, because it follows Hana's instincts, and it helps him break his fall, but he suddenly passes out. Hikari's father appears, and he notes that he was having a good time in the afterlife, but he decided to check on Rintaro, because he's risking his life to save Hana. He later regains consciousness, and he sees her at the core, so he tells her to wake up, but he realizes that he needs to reach her heart, because her hair has taken over her mind. So he kisses her, and she regains control of her body, but she suddenly starts crying, because she knows that she covered the world with her hair. But he tells her everything will be okay, because she can now control her hair. She frees the world from her hair, and combines them to create a massive pillar, which reaches the sun. Rintaro cuts her hair, as the sun burns it away, and everything returns to normal. After that, Hana refuses to leave her room, because she's ashamed of what she did. But Rintaro visits her, and shows her the news, as the reporter reveals that nobody was killed by her hair, and everyone enjoyed being covered by it. They want to experience it again, because it made them feel amazing, and the researchers note that it saved the world from an ice age by increasing solar activity. So she realizes that she saved everyone, and she thinks Rintaro used the sun to burn her hair, because he knew it would make her feel better. The other girls join them, and tell her to cheer up, so she starts crying, as she realizes she has become a mother to all of them. Mimi welcomes everyone to her makeup class, and the girls look forward to improving their looks, while Kasuri tells Rintaro to wait for the result. He wonders why they're so driven, because they're already the most beautiful girls in the world, and he sees his classmate Kakuri, who never talks to anyone. There's suddenly a gust of wind, and she's worried that her bangs will stop covering her face, but he realizes that a sign is about to hit her, so he pushes her to safety. He asks her if she's okay, but their eyes meet, and they both feel the shocking sensation, so he realizes that she's one of his soulmates. She reveals that she doesn't want people to look at her, because she's extremely shy, so she hides her face behind her bangs. He explains that her safety is more important, but she thinks it's just second to her bangs, and she thanks him for saving her. She tells him they're classmates, but he notes that he already knows that, and mentions that her bangs make her stand out. She falls into despair, because she doesn't want anyone to notice her, but he thinks it's a shame, telling her she has beautiful eyes. She becomes flustered hearing this, and she suddenly disappears, so he wonders if she has superpowers. The next day, Rintaro sees a toy in his locker, and he realizes that Kakuri left a note for him, telling him she made the toy for him. He heads to their classroom, where he thanks her for the gift, but she suddenly disappears again. He tries to talk to her, but she keeps disappearing, so he wonders why she's avoiding him. He asks the girls if they know anything about her, so they tell him she has a pretty face, but she uses her bangs to hide it. He tries to talk to her again, but he decides to respect her personal space and apologizes for telling her she has beautiful eyes. But she notes that she isn't angry at him and explains that she's just too embarrassed to talk to him because she's in love with him. He blushes hearing this, but she freaks out, so she vanishes once again. But she appears behind him and reveals that she's been using misdirection to disappear before his eyes, telling him she throws dolls to distract him before she hides. She thinks she doesn't deserve to be his girlfriend because she's too shy to do anything with him, so she tells him to forget about her. But he tells her not to say that, revealing that he also loves her, so she absolutely loses it and starts avoiding him again. But he refuses to give up, and he starts looking for her, as he notes that her shoes are still in her locker, so he knows that she's still on the campus. He looks behind him and realizes she's been hiding there all this time, so he looks around as she keeps disappearing before his eyes. But she eventually becomes exhausted, so she hides behind a curtain, but he manages to find her by following her breathing. He tells her he'll find her wherever she goes, and she asks him if he's sure, thinking she isn't worthy of his love because she can't even show him her face. He tells her he loves her for who she is, and she decides to be his girlfriend, but her binder suddenly rips open, and he realizes that her chest is even bigger than Hikari's. Rintaro introduces Kakuri to the girls, but they realize she's hiding behind him because she's afraid of being seen. She notes that her hobby is knitting and reveals that she made dolls for everyone, so they thank her for giving them gifts, telling her she's amazing, but she becomes embarrassed and disappears. She appears behind Rintaro, who explains that she likes to hide because she's extremely shy. He suggests playing hide and seek because she's good at hiding, and he notes that he'll search for them, saying the last person to be found will be the winner. He mentions that they can't move once they've picked a hiding spot, and he promises to find them wherever they go, but they're only allowed to hide inside the school. The game begins, so Rintaro starts looking for the girls, and we see that Mansudo picked the same hiding spot. He walks past them and talks to the vice principal, who reveals that she's tired because she's been picking up lost items. Hikari and Enda are in the storage room, and they see Rintaro approaching, so they hide under a table. But they find themselves in an awkward position, so they decide to surrender. Rintaro enters the lab, where he hears Mimi and Kasuri talking to each other, and he finds them hiding under the table, but he realizes they're both talking in their sleep. He heads to the library, and wonders why there are books on the floor, so he checks a nearby box, and sees Shizuka hiding with Nano. At the canteen, we see Hana and Kurumi under a table, and they hear Rintaro's voice, so Hana tells Kurumi to be quiet. But she gets too close to Hana's chest, which startles her, so they end up being found. Rintaro and the girls look for the others, but they see puddles in the hallway, and they find Mansudo. They search everywhere, but they still can't find Kakuri, and the vice principal appears, as Mei notes that she might be hiding inside a moving object. Rintaro asks for the vice principal's permission to look inside the box, and he realizes that Kakuri isn't there. But he sees a toy, so he asks the vice principal if she saw a student that vanished before her eyes, and she reveals that she did, but she thinks it was just a ghost. He checks her hair and pulls Kakuri out, as the vice principal notes that she feels lighter. He congratulates Kakuri for winning the game, and the girls tell her she's amazing, but she becomes embarrassed and disappears again. She appears behind them, and they're amazed by her disappearing act, so he thinks the game is successful because they now accept her for who she is. The girls tell her to claim her reward, which is a kiss from Rintaro, and she thinks she isn't ready for it, so he tells her they can do it some other time. Everyone prepares to go home, but he suddenly kisses her, and he apologizes for doing it out of the blue, telling her he wanted to kiss her before she becomes embarrassed. But Mimi asks him who he's talking to, and he realizes that Kakuri has disappeared. We see Inda as Rintaro approaches her, and he apologizes for making her wait, but she tells him she isn't happy to see him. So he thinks he should have arrived earlier, and believes he isn't good enough to be her boyfriend. He walks away, and she chases after him, but she suddenly wakes up, realizing it was just a dream. We see Rintaro as he shows the girls a heart-shaped snack, and he notes that it brings happiness to lovers who share them. He suggests splitting it into 12 pieces, so that they can all eat it, and the girls are excited to try it, but Inda mentions that she isn't interested. Everyone eats it, and Rintaro feeds her one of the pieces, but she tells him he won't get anything in return. She wonders why she can't say a simple thank you, realizing she can't express her feelings for him, and she uses one of the pieces to stab his eye. She thinks she's different from everyone, because they're all nice to him, and Hikari realizes that she's sad, thinking it's because of her small chest. So she uses one of the pieces to stab Hikari's head, but she just eats it. The girls start playing sumo, and Sudo takes Kasuri down, but she notes that she'll use her reversing medicine to reveal her true form. She searches for it, but she realizes she only brought her anti-tsundere medicine, so she leaves it on the ground, and notes that she needs to fight with her current form. Inda decides to drink it, because she thinks Rintaro will leave her if she doesn't change her attitude, but Kasuri crashes into her. The girls tell her to calm down, because they know she has a short fuse, but she tells Kasuri it's okay. She sees a light above Inda, and she recognizes it as tsundere energy, so she realizes that Inda drank the medicine. The light disappears, and everyone realizes that Inda has changed. She apologizes for drinking Kasuri's drug without permission, and she tells Inda it's fine, but she realizes that her tsundere powers are gone. So she challenges her to a sumo match, and instantly defeats her. Everyone realizes that Inda's powers came from her tsundere energy, which boosted her physical abilities by removing her limiter. Sudo tells Inda to hit her with a baseball bat, and she's excited to get blown away. But she becomes disappointed, as she realizes that Inda lost her powers. She tells Shizuka and Kakuri that she wants to learn how to crochet with them, and they let her join them, as Hikari mentions that she's better than her usual self. But Sudo notes that she loves the old Inda, and the other girls agree with her, so Kasuri promises to make a drug to reverse the effects. But Inda mentions that she won't drink it, because she wants to be a nice girl. Rintaro invites her to go for a walk, and she mentions that she loves holding his hand, telling him she has always wanted to tell him how she feels. But he explains that he already knows that, and tells her he chose to go out with her, because he loves her even though she's a tsundere. He tells her not to hate her old self, because he won't allow anyone to look down on the person he fell in love with, and she decides to go back to how she was. That evening, Kasuri finishes her tsundere medicine, and Inda drinks it, causing light to surround her body. But she asks them if she's back to being a tsundere, and they realize the drug didn't work, so Kasuri thinks she's stuck like that forever. Rintaro thinks there must be another way, and he promises to find a solution. But Hana notes that it's getting late, and she thinks Inda's parents won't be happy because her personality has changed. She asks Inda if she wants to come over, but he thinks it isn't safe to leave her with Hana, so he decides to join them in the mansion. Hana invites Inda to take a bath together, but Rintaro stops her, and he joins Inda and Hikari in their room. He tells Inda he'll get her back to normal, and reveals that Kasuri told him how everyone creates tsundere energy, so he thinks she can return to her old self as she's constantly exposed to it. Hikari realizes that they need to keep doing things that force her to act like a tsundere, and he decides to give it a try, telling her he loves her. Hikari thinks she'll punch him, but she just tells him she loves him back, so he realizes he failed. Hikari takes a bath with Inda, who thanks Hikari for trying to help her return to her old self. But she notes that Inda has done so much for her, so she wants to repay her by helping her regain her tsundere energy. But Hikari suddenly starts playing with her, as Hana observes them outside the bathroom, but she loses blood and passes out. So Mei orders the other maids to get the transfusion team, but Rentaro comes up with a plan to help Inda. The next day, Rentaro tells the girls about his plan, and explains that everyone can create tsundere energy, but Inda can't generate as much as she used to. He thinks they should all channel their energy into her, by taking the anti-tsundere medicine and allowing her to use their energy to return to her old self. Kusuri thinks his plan might work, but he knows that their energy might not harmonize and cause Inda's body to explode. He thinks it's too risky to let her handle it alone, so he decides to be the one to filter the energy into her body. He explains that he'll do what Goku did with the spirit bomb, but the girls are worried that Kurumi might change, because she's also a tsundere. So Kusuri explains that she'll be fine, since her hunger shapes her personality. Rentaro knows it won't be easy, but they all decide to help him, and Hikari acts like a tsundere. But she starts to feel strange, as she realizes that her tsundere energy is leaving her body. She endures the pain, and the other girls follow suit, but they struggle as Rentaro gathers their energy. He prepares to give all of it to Inda, but he realizes that he can't keep it together. She tells him not to push himself, but he starts acting like a tsundere, as he realizes that the energy is affecting his behavior. He thinks she's amazing, because she fights the energy every day, just to tell him how much she loves him. He tells her he loves her, and gives her their tsundere energy, as she struggles to absorb all of it. Everyone cheers for her, as she takes it all in, and releases a powerful shockwave. They realize she's back to normal, so they celebrate, but she thanks them for helping her out, so they think she hasn't fully recovered yet. After that, we see the girls talking about their experience with Rentaro, and they all think he's the perfect boyfriend. But Mimi wonders if she and Kakuri are supposed to be there, because they haven't appeared in the manga yet. But the girls tell them it's okay, because the anime director will be responsible if there are any problems. Nano notes that most relationships fail because of a failure to communicate, so Kakuri thinks she needs to stop hiding whenever Rentaro tells her he loves her. He suddenly joins them, and explains that he helped a teacher carry 10,000 boxes, but he realizes that they're staring at him. Kusuri tells him she loves him, and thanks him for making her happy, so he's touched by her sweetness. Nano notes that his headpats are efficient at making them feel special, and he reveals that he practices how to do it every night, so they realize that he takes being their boyfriend seriously. Nano tells him she loves him, and she's grateful for everything he's done for them. Pseudo notes that she's inspired by the hard work he puts in to make them happy, and calls him an amazing boyfriend, while Shizuka mentions that she's glad he's always by her side. Hikari mentions that his hands are gentle, and thinks she's lucky to have him as her boyfriend, saying she's the happiest girl in the world. Hana tells him she's glad he was born into this world, and Mei thinks he's a wonderful guy, because he taught her the joys of giving and taking. She thinks she doesn't deserve to be with him, but she mentions she wants to spend the rest of her life with him. Mimi tells him he has the most beautiful heart in the world, so she'll strive to live up to his character, by continuing to improve her beauty. Kakuri calls him, but she suddenly disappears, and she apologizes for hiding, telling him she still isn't used to talking to him. But he tells her not to worry, because he's willing to take their relationship slowly, telling her they'll be together for the rest of their lives. She tells him that even though she might disappear, her love for him will never change, and he's touched by her words, but she vanishes before his eyes. Kurumi tells him she loves him for always giving her the food she likes, and Inda struggles when it's her turn. But Rentaro tells her it's okay, because she just went back to being a tsundere, and she already told him how she feels, but she tells him she loves everything about him. He cries tears of joy, and thinks he doesn't deserve to be with all of them, but he tells them he loves them more than anything in this world. But that's where this video ends. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.